Market back to the downside here to start things off so far this morning. Still in positive territory, only just, however, now just 0.2% for the NASDAQ here. S&P 500 about the same 0.3%. Briggs to the downside here early on. Welcome to Fed Day. Coming up later on this afternoon. We'll get the rate decision at 2 o'clock. The press conference to follow, as always, at 2:30 with Fed Chair Powell. That's going to be the main focus. Once again, we just checked 99% right now that they're not going to do anything today. You got to go all the way out to June before you get any kind of indication of maybe they make a cut in June. A lot of banks, a lot of economists still forecasting as many as 3, possibly even more than that, cuts to come before the end of the year. So a lot to get through as far as the Fed is concerned. We'll see what Fed Chair Powell has to say about all of this coming up later this afternoon. A lot of things moving around here this morning. Disney just takes out the highs there. A 9% move right now for Disney on an earnings beat, looking great. Tesla back to the downside after a move after the close yesterday. Still positive on the session, but China sales not great here. Ford coming out as well. A bit of a headline this morning. They're going to raise prices on models coming out of Mexico by as much as $2,000 to cover tariffs, of course. And we'll touch on Uber here. A couple of headlines over the past couple of days for Uber on the autonomous side of things. The earnings, I mean, a bit of a miss. Could be worse, though. 3.5% here so far.
Yeah, the CEO talked about that on the earnings call. Yeah. Brendo said he's making great strides there. Almost 1.5 million autonomous vehicle rides. Obviously, with partners, they don't run on their own. Yeah. Fantastic look there for Uber as they continue to make a lot more money. We'll talk about that on the rundown. Lots to talk about today, guys. Uber, as I mentioned, reported there. Also, China in focus as Scott Bessent now and another U.S. trade representative going to meet with their counterparts in Switzerland, I believe later this week. AMD reporting as well, Brendo. Kind of a mixed report there. They grew year over year, and it looks like things may be flattening out a little bit. Lots to talk about. Amazon with this new warehouse robot that can sense pressure. Oh boy, here it comes.
I wonder if they're going to get to a point where they just drive it right out to your car or put it in your house. Yeah, here's AMD, as you mentioned, kind of a meh. It's at 100, still positive here, 1% to the upside, but getting to a point where I think a lot of these are, I mean, the moves have been huge as we've been highlighting. 0.2% for NVIDIA, still to come, obviously, on earnings season. SMCI, notable as well, downside here this morning, 6.5% coming off their report, just made a new low, but trying to hold for SMCI. So a lot to cover again. Nothing on the economic calendar at all, basically now, until 2 o'clock this afternoon. So might be a little bit of a wait and see here. Sean back with us this morning. Good morning, guys.
Back from track day.
Sorry about that. Everyone misses Obi today. But,
it was the
track was really fun.
It was the pineapple show yesterday.
What does that mean?
Well, essentially, Obi takes all of the pineapple from the bowl.
Okay.
And if you don't get there before him, there's no pineapple left.
Really?
Impossible.
That's not very. That's not very kind of Obi. He's such a kind soul. Now
that's what I said. I'm not surprised.
Now he's taking all the pineapple. He loves pineapple. It must be his favorite fruit. I'm gonna have to ask him that next time.
There's a good chance it's the best. It's the best thing in the fruit salad most days.
Yeah, I like the grapes.
Today we get a lot of there's a lot of cantaloupe in.
I'm a grape,
which is always good. A little bit of watermelon, but. It's weird. Like AMD didn't do anything. Like AMD was so strong in the aftermarket, and now all of a sudden you're completely flat. The market's kind of driving a little bit down. SMCI, like seriously, you know, like you tell us the numbers are going to be bad. They are bad, and then you still guide worse, so they're going to be down. And a bit of a nothing burger on the EV names, despite all the volume in some of those EVs yesterday. Rivian, kind of flat, not really moving. Lucid, kind of flat, not really moving either. So day 2 plays are going to be in there. Uber obviously just failed to fresh all-time high. But don't forget some of the levels on Palantir, like that 110 tested it again. So it's really cresting at that 110 level from yesterday. If he can get through that, still like the 117 short, but yeah, it's got quite a gap from 110 to 117. But disappointing movement on AMD. That's the one that's a shocker. Like, it turns out that Marvell out of nowhere cancels their investor day and moves way more than AMD. So maybe AMD's not even the chip name that you got to look at. To me, it's SMCI and Marvell.
Was it Marvell? Was it just Investor Day they canceled? Okay.
Well, they reiterated their guidance.
Right. I thought maybe they pushed back their earnings, but maybe they didn't. Why is my chart on Procter & Gamble. Yeah, no, look, I was thinking about Disney, actually. I just tweeted that out. I looked it up, and I actually just tweeted, I said, Disney, $100. Like, okay. Yeah, so nice little move up there. We had sort of talked about this and zooming out, and you look at a stock like Uber, and we'll get to Uber today as well. And we talked about like how many times it'd have to get to that 85 mark and turn around off of that before you eventually learn your lesson. The same kind of thing here is for Disney. We kept coming into this $80 range, and there it is. There's another bump higher. So it's like, remember, earnings are talking about what's already happened. We're looking at what's going forward. And right there, beat up quite nicely, right back into past support, down there at 80, now up to $100. Again goes Disney. We saw the same thing happen to Palantir, beat and guide, but right at that level again that it's already been at, and it drops down. And then a stock like Rivian, where we're thinking that was maybe going to have, Rivian.NQ, a little bit of juice into it today, and it's not doing a whole heck of a lot. Low volume, only 200,000 shares, so we'll wait to see if Rivian can get going. And that's kind of in the same vein here again, where this is almost the other way around. You get up into this 14.50 area, and that's been, we went above it one time up to $16, but that's been a good level, right, since last August. So, we've been sitting around here for 8 or 9 months just waiting for this one to come back. Come on, Rivian, stop adjusting low, higher. But right into there, and then all of a sudden it gets there, and then earnings, and now we're starting to head back down a little bit. We can't break that 14.50 area. So we'll have to wait to see. I mean, Lucid's the one. Neil was talking about all the volume that this had done yesterday. This has done 4 times the volume. Come on, chart. 4 times the volume of Rivian today is Lucid, but both of them not doing a heck of a lot and kind of barcoding. And then you'd mentioned yesterday also that Ford had that nice move off of $10.
Yeah.
So, yeah, some of these names starting to move around just a little bit. Yeah, there it is right there. So there's the high, break through 10, up to 1040, back in, rip up, and then kind of hold bid. So this is looking like this may, thank you, Randy, this Ford may drop out through here as well, 1040 or so coming out right now. But Ford, Randy's had a nice little bounce off of the daily chart. I guess we're waiting for ExxonMobil, eh? Oil just keeps on getting lower and lower and lower right now. And Exxon's at a good pickup level again, Randy, at 105. I mean, we were talking about 110 down into here. Oil, $58, $59. Yep. Low oil prices are here. Now, whether or not they're here to stay for a minute, we'll have to wait to see. But Exxon, not well underneath, but now at some levels as well. Similar to Disney, where we could start to bounce. If we get some good news, maybe we bounce. But looks like we have a little bit more to go before we're at that ultimate support down here for XOM. And then Rivian, Randy is here. So we just talked about it, Randy, but there's Rivian right there. Guided lower.
Doing nothing.
Expected.
Not moving.
Expected cars for next year.
Yeah, I think low oil for a while, folks. We have a bit of oversupply from OPEC. Yeah, enjoy it at the pumps while you can.
Just fill up, get all those jerry cans and just fill them up and throw them in your backyard, or
right.
what? Or like,
Unless the U.S. cuts production, well, I don't know. Maybe they will. Maybe you don't think they'll pause? Because if they, prices are good. Prices down are good because you're trying to fight inflation.
Yeah.
The oil prices being down is a good thing.
Yeah, and if China can come back online here and get some more production going, should help out with some oil. But yeah, I got some interesting names here today. Novo Nordisk, it's up 6% as well. Marvell down 7%.
Don't forget HIMS.
What I did forget HIMS.
HIMS broke out big yesterday.
Ooh.
Yeah, HIMS went to $50 yesterday. So it was like the squeeze runner. Like it broke through that 43 double top, pull back in, and then I don't know. It's still kind of failing the 50 level. But yeah, HIMS is going to be in play. Oh, Upstart. That's the biggest mover today.
$49. The Upstart was 12% or something?
No, now 17 now. It was.
Yuck.
Yeah, it was down 12%. Upstart is actually the biggest mover in the aftermarket of the names that were likely to be in. Not good. Although, as we'll talk about, they beat. They just.
Did CrowdStrike report? I don't know. CrowdStrike.
Crowd's down a couple of points right now.
Moves down, but,
I don't know about tanking, but CrowdStrike is down this morning.
All right, let's go. New news from Amazon. I mean, there's lots of stories, no matter what. I mean, it's not just a Mag 7 show or anything like that. Today we've got Uber, we've got Disney, we'll talk about Amazon, but some of those other little smaller car companies coming through as well. Maybe look at some financials. We'll see what Robinhood's doing. We'll see what SoFi's doing. We have CrowdStrike now moving around. IBIT, 97 right now for crypto. I mean, I don't know how close that came yesterday. I didn't look, but
I didn't.
I didn't. Okay, so 97 is a pretty good level there. So yeah, lots to talk about. We're excited for the day, and then we didn't even mention Fed. So we'll see.
They're not doing anything.
No, they're not doing anything today. Nasdaq up, but heading south a little bit here. So let's wait to see if we can hold this forward. We've got this. So yeah, it should be a fun day here. Let's go back over to the desk.
All right, I was keeping my eye on Google here. A couple of people reposting this SMR story once again. Google going to work with a company called Elementi Power, aiming to boost reliable 24/7 energy for its growing data center needs. Each site will produce at least 600 megawatts, with Google funding early stage work and holding the future. So Google's still higher on the morning here, but kind of fading back in on very low volume. This was kind of interesting as well. Let me grab this picture. Talk amongst yourselves. We'll be fine here. There we go. This is the Uber sidewalk robot. So autonomous food delivery, possibly in the near future as well here for Uber. I mean, these things are around already.
Yeah.
They have them here in Toronto for this purpose already. So Uber jumping on that bandwagon.
I haven't seen them here. I know you've seen them because you live downtown.
One almost ran into me.
Well, I was going to say the videos of these ones in LA of people like, you know, doing some stuff they shouldn't be doing with them. So I don't know how practical they are, obviously, but they're here to stay, it looks like. Yeah, I like the Google story as well, Brendo, because we've been worried about the CapEx drying up for AI, whether it was investing in GPUs, data centers, or power.
Yeah.
And you're seeing that continued spend here with Google looking to take on these two nuclear plants.
The one question I have with these things, they're not that fast.
These things?
Yeah.
Oh, the Uber.
So if you consider like all these guys racing around on these e-bikes all the time, flying around, getting your food to you very quickly, these things aren't that quick.
At least these things respect the traffic laws.
True.
The guys on the
True.
bikes
Not so much.
absolutely do not.
Yeah, not so much. But coming, guys, coming for Uber.
Traffic laws. Man, I want my pad thai quick.
I don't even want to.
Run over those little kids riding their bikes.
Traffic or you.
No, I'm saying that they're running over little kids is what I'm saying. They're not being safe enough. So
It's sometimes it's like decide what you're doing, because the thing that kills me is like you go from being using the bike lane to all of a sudden I'm sidewalk now, and then you'll be on the side. Then they'll see the sidewalk, they'll jump onto the street. Now you're gonna act like you're another vehicle. I'm like, what? Like you got to decide what you're doing. Like if you want to break the rules and be on. No, it's just if you got to use it. Or use the road, or if you're going to be on the sidewalk, you can't just do like a Fed pivot and decide you're going to jump from one to the other, because that's how it leads to accidents. But anyways, look, Uber. I think Uber's going to look great when it finally gets to automated driving. And I don't think this is a moment where you shouldn't freak out about the price action. We always say ball don't lie and price this that. It was a good quarter, but. Much like Palantir, it was just like the second there was any selling through the all-time high or through the fresh high, prior high, it just started to accelerate. And you had to respect that. Like once it was underneath 86, we saw that yesterday. Like it was strong until it got to 86, and then it just ran into a wall, the prior high. And it's the same thing today. So people are profit taking because Uber has been an absolute beast recently. And if you try to figure out where the bottom is going to be on it. Well, it already held once in the 79 to 80 range. And the bigger level, I think, would be down here around 78. I kind of feel like that's the first place to look, at least for today, on some dips if it gets a little bit out of hand. And you want to be in the names that move, because on a Fed day, to be real, you got the morning, then you get a bit of a lull. So outside of headlines, you want to make sure that you're trading the stocks that are going to go and are going to move. And Uber, I could see, like after what happened with Palantir, I could see it actually getting down into that 78 for a potential dip buy. Like that's a realistic possibility as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, trading lower following Q1 earnings report. Earnings 83 cents beating 50. Sales slightly lower, so they'll go 1 for 2 right there. Increased 14%. So I think we like sort of the active users that are on the platform. The more users that are there, eventually they'll turn them into some more profits. But I think Uber does the exact same thing as we've seen in the past, and that is come right back into some support. In this case, it would be some resistance at the high side here of $85 and falls down. So it almost didn't really matter what the report was unless it was a huge beat. It was probably turning around anyways. So again, remember, what we do is we watch out for earnings and we say, okay, Now that quarter is behind us. Where do we now think Uber is going? So, yeah, the guide seems to be fine. I mean, company guided EBITDA between 2 billion to 2.12 billion compared to 2.05. So they're right in the middle with the guide. I like Uber down here. I think you're actually just falling into some support at 80 bucks. So this is going to be a trade, looks like here, off of $80 today for Uber. Again, I like the stock. I think you're allowed to miss, and they did. So, and again, they just missed on sales, but they guided a little bit to the high end of what was expected. So I think Uber can bounce today. Just a matter of cooling down a little bit. You know, again, good move down, trying to hold this bottom in and around $80. All right, we are now ready to rock and roll. It's Joe. He's got an options play for you.
Right.
Hey, good morning, everybody, and happy Wednesday. It is earnings season, and with that, we want to know about expected moves, implied moves, and what happens if we don't exceed them, or we stay within those parameters, or we do exceed them to be exact. So, all right, AMD last night, guys, if we can pull up my screen. So if you're a straddle or a strangle trader, and you've decided to base a trade with an expectation of beating the expected move, then if it doesn't happen, well, what do you do? And it's unfortunate because you've now put yourself in a situation where you are paying an increased premium just due to the volatility increase. And then now that you haven't exceeded that expected move, what's going to happen? Well, as time goes by day, you're going to catch that volatility decay. So what we want to do is focus on the options chain as well, too, when we are correlating the expected move with high levels of open interest on the chain. So what can we do? So with AMD being a prime example, you can see we have a 7.6% expected move. We'll call it A flat. Now, if you pull up your options chain and you were to notice the high levels of open interest around 105 and 106, you're going to see that as overhead resistance. Now, if we pull up AMD's chart to see exactly where we stalled out, that's going to be right at 105.98. So it's really important to gauge the expected move and correlate it with high levels of open interest around those specific strike prices. Now, if you're caught offside and you don't exceed that, it's unfortunate that now your contracts are going to lose value just solely on the fact that volatility decay is going to diminish those contracts. So what can we do with upcoming earnings? Let's take a look at ARM. So we can pull up ARM here on our chart because they report after the bell today. Not very liquid this morning, but what we will do is we will take a look at the expected move, and then we can correlate that with our options chain to see if we have the ability to break through that and if there's not any specific call or put wall. So with a 9.5% expected move, a high of 134.03 and a low of potentially 110, what we want to do is we want to look at the options chain and correlate it with those specific strike prices. And if you see high levels of open interest at those strike prices, I'm not saying that they're going to be a definitive wall, but just watch how price action reacts around those specific levels. If you exceed it, then you can see some continuation and you may exceed that expected move. If you see price action react and then automatically reject those specific levels, then you can maybe base a trade off the fact that we're going to stay within the parameters of that expected move or inside that expected move. So keep an eye out on ARM this morning, guys. Once the market opens, take a look at that open interest, correlate it with the 134, 135 strike price, and correlate it with the 110, 109 strike prices to see what that open interest is telling you. And if you're going to base a straddle or a strangle trade, now look, if there's going to be that volatility spike come the earnings report, is that going to be enough to push us through those supply zones? So that's really important when we gauge these moves here, that we correlate it with what the chain is actually telling us, and then we can base trades off of that, guys.
Yeah, good look, Joe. And it's a great example there with AMD last night when you run into that sort of brick wall. And we've seen it before. Like sometimes you don't even get like a retest of that level. It's just it's a little bit tepid to get there because you'd ask yourself like, how could AMD, a company that beat And we'll obviously talk about this. Close the 50 period, trying to break a long downward trend. It's like any bit of good news should be fantastic for them. But unfortunately, it's not just running into the wall. It's that big pullback. And on top of that, you even got good news in that there's talks meetings are going to take place in Switzerland between the USA and China. Like, how is that not a good thing as well? So, you run into that wall at 106. This is a name that I actually want to give a chance today because the buying has been really, really strong around the 98 level and with the prior resistance. But yeah, you do have to pay very, very close attention. We've seen it in the aftermarket show several times now where you run into that big put call wall, or even it can just be overhead resistance on the daily chart in the example of, like say, not Palantir, because Palantir really broke it through it, but like say Uber today, like Uber had that overhead resistance.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then just turned into some trouble. Like it just could not seem to push through. And that was more pre-market this morning. So yeah, just be careful expecting too much out of earnings. If it doesn't break that first wall, you're more likely to have a disappointment than anything else.
All right, yeah, thanks, Joe. There's always different kinds of styles of trading, right? I mean, it's great to have Joe here explaining some options. You guys can hit him up. He'll be on the midday show starting at 11 o'clock. Options action with Joe all afternoon from 11 till about 2 o'clock. So thanks, Joe, for adding some color to some different plays and some different ideas on how we can get in and out of stock ahead of earnings and during earnings and even during calm periods, different strategies to address different methods, either through calling and gathering some of that premium or trying to make a play there looking at volatility. But yeah, right now, watching out for the VIX, pretty calm right now as well. We'll have to watch out what the US dollar is going to be doing today. Tech stocks, whatever, they'll be in play. I think we're going to talk a little bit about, expected moves here this afternoon. We're not expecting much from the Fed here, but I think it'll be about the wording, and that could help with some of the positioning. So, all right, yeah, I'm making a list down here. I got Tesla as my number one idea. That should come through, so we'll be watching out for Tesla today, as well as some more EV names. But if you're looking for some more names other than earnings plays, and there might be some earnings plays on this board.
Usually
right now, so it's upgrades and downgrades. Let's go find out what's on there.
Actually, not much in the way of earnings plays in this board. Only one day one earnings play in the board that I can see off the top. But let's get started here with Logitech getting an upgrade from UBS. AMD actually, Zori, this is another earnings play here with a TD Cowen upgrade after their report. We have Marathon here, not Marathon Digital, Marathon with an upgrade from TD Cowen. And last but not least, Quanta getting a TD Cowen upgrade as well. On the downgrade side of things, On Holdings, ON, up on the day, but getting downgraded by Telsey Advisory Group. Under Armour here with a Telsey downgrade as well. So it looks like Telsey's making some notes on the athletic apparel side of things. Then we have Arista Networks, another day one earnings play with a downgrade from Needham. Datadog, a day two earnings play up on the day, but also getting downgraded by Needham today. So lots of action from a few choice analysts here. Back to you.
Yeah, Datadog was another name that reported it looked good, and then it wasn't. Like, it's good till it wasn't. Like, it first initial move up, and then it just faded off. Now, this gave one gift. At least, unless you were long off the bottom on Datadog and played the $100 level, which, frankly, look, we didn't. We were trading Palantir in the morning, and the 108 was a good reversion short because it showed it to you pre-market that was some resistance up there, and it gave you one chance to kind of fade that back into the volume-weighted average price. So I'd watch that on Datadog. Upgrade, downgrade, doesn't really matter at the end of the day. You want to trade the price levels. It held on to the 50, and it held on to that 100 level that we mentioned. So good consolidation, but 108 the big key. If it can break through that, I think it's got a chance to go. That was the one and only good short on Datadog yesterday, was right at that 108.
Yeah, we're talking a little bit about athletic apparel. We do have a stock that I think, again, it's getting close to a level here on the daily of 280. So if you're just going to look at Lululemon, obviously been beat up. We see those downgrades from Under Armour coming through. But this level of 280, if you could break through there, then you could get that move back into the 200 period moving average, which is 312. So that's a pretty nice move. Again, another stock that may have found a bottom right there, Lulu. You'd like to always pick it up near the bottom, like at 250 is much better than picking it up at 270. But I think you're just moments away from breaking through on the daily into 280 there. If China woes could be settled there, Vietnam, again, there's a lot of different areas that these guys are making their clothes and producing their garments and whatnot in. So we can see if that gets going. And it's something very, very similar here for Nike. If you can gap fill, that gap right there is 61 and change. So, a lot of garbage under here. The only problem with Nike is we've broken below, like well below support, right? And so if you are holding on to Nike, you are probably doing so hoping that 70-ish holds. Now that hasn't held, it is a falling knife. So, some of these apparel names don't seem to be working right now. So $60 break on Nike, maybe you have something back to the upside that I wouldn't hold on for too long, but that could be something to consider there if and when some kind of a deal is announced. It does clear the way for some of these apparel companies due to the fact that they're just so much production outside of the United States. So it's not like Nike's making movies or anything. They have to worry about the 100% film tariff.
Yeah, which that's not going to happen.
Does that apply to like ads they make outside of the country or what? Because I
think it got walked back so fast because people started to realize the logistics of it making.
How it's so hard to do that. Yeah, because then you're punishing big, huge American companies as well, like a Disney or whoever is Paramount and Warner Brothers and all that kind of stuff. So, okay, it looks like we're going to get ready to go through the watch list in just a couple of seconds. Make sure you do download that as well. Get the link in our description. Thanks for watching. It's only a half hour till the market opens.
Oh.
We were just talking about the movie thing. They were shooting on Queen Street overnight down here. It was all blocked off, but opened up by the time I got through it. Anyway, Rivian downside here right now, just broke 13.25, now 2%. In negative territory. If you missed it for Rivian, we'll get into it a little bit deeper coming up here, but cut their 2025 delivery forecast, full year delivery forecast ever so slightly. It wasn't a big cut. They raised their CapEx as well. We talked about, I think it was yesterday or maybe 2 days ago, they're going to put more money into the auto park, the factory, that manufacturing side, coming up here over the next couple of years. So not a lot to look at this morning here for Rivian.
Look, there was a couple of good things and a couple of bad things. What I took bad from this was they produced far more vehicles than they delivered on the quarter, Brendo. 14,611 vehicles were produced. Only 8,640 were delivered. That's a bit of a concern. Now, the deliveries also guiding down. They were looking for 46,000 to 51,000 deliveries for full year 2025. That's down now, Brendo. 40 to 46,000. But as you mentioned, the CapEx increased. I don't mind that too much. Let's get the ball rolling. And we also know that they're going to actually pause their production line in the second half of this year to get ready for the R2, which is expected, guys, in the first half, production that is, in the first half of next year. Now, they did well here on the quarter. They're still losing money, obviously. It's an EV company, 41 pennies, Brendo, EPS. The street was looking for a negative 76. That negative 41 was a print. Revenue beat easily as well, $1.25 billion. The street was just looking for one. And that's the second consecutive quarter that they're in the green. So some silver lining here, but still some concerns.
A couple other things moving around right now. I just saw Marvel on a bounce off 56, decent volume behind this as well, 7.5%. We'll keep an eye out for that. For MRVL, PHIO, a little one I saw a couple of people mentioning, all the way back already. Tag 280, that actually printed up there, all the way back to 180 here for PHIO. A little one that might have gone, but has come back instead. I mean, there's a lot of small caps this morning. ASST, there's TOVX, NCEW, MEGL again. Trying to get going here. This is a multiple offender, I guess, on the small cap side of things. Also giving back a lot of it already this morning, still up.
We lovingly call them former runners, Brendo, on the midday show. Shout out to the small caps. Should we have a look at the futures?
Yeah, go for it.
All right, guys, 56.25. That's where we closed out yesterday on the ES June contract, with the overnight high being 56.89. So still using 5,700 as resistance. We'll continue to use that. The overnight low, 56.08. We're currently at 56.45. So kind of at the midpoint. We'll use 5,600 as support and 5,700 as resistance.
All right, as always, if you haven't done so, jump down to the description of this video. Top link in the description will get you to that page. All you need then is your email address. You can sign up for free for the watch list. Comes right to your inbox every single day with everything you need to know on it each morning. AMD, not a lot to look at, as we were saying, as far as this chart is concerned. It is positive up here to the tune of 1.3%. Semiconductors in general, kind of flat here to start things off. coming off the back of this report. We'll get to SMCI here coming up in a second, but AMD kind of meh.
It was meh, but I'm liking the fact that we're finally, looks like we're bottoming a little bit. It was a beat on the top and bottom line, guys. EPS, 96 pennies. The street wanted 94. Revenue, 7.44 billion. The street was looking for 7.13. Net income, the money they took home, $709 million. Compare that to last year when they only made 123. That's a 6-time jump year over year, with revenue also growing about 36% year over year. Now their guide, how are they doing here? They're guiding Q2 revenue of 7.4 billion. That's above the street expectation of 7.25. Gross margins expected to be at about 43%, far lower, Brendo, than Nvidia's, by the way, which is like 70 something. Export control hit. They're going to take a $700 million hit in Q2 and a $1.5 billion hit expected for full year 2025 from that AI chip export restriction out in China. Now, obviously the most important segment that they have, their AI and data center segment. Data center revenue came in at 3.7 billion. That's a 57% year-over-year increase, beating estimates, powered by demand for their EPYC CPUs as well as their Instinct GPUs. CEO Lisa Su confirmed AMD's chips are actually being used for both training and inference with big LLMs with OpenAI and DeepSeek. She emphasized the infrastructure spending remains strong despite the tariffs, obviously. And their gaming, there are a couple of other segments here, client and gaming. Revenue here, $2.9 billion, a 28% bump year over year. The only one that actually lost money, Brendo, their gaming segment due to weaker console chip revenue. But nice to see PC and laptop sales finally starting to make some higher lows.
Yeah, overall, that 100 level remains a magnet here for AMD, guys.
Here right now, but you know what? If you squint hard enough on the daily chart, you'll notice something interesting. Our post-Liberation Day high at 98, the resistance, it might actually be support now, or at least it's trying to be support. So the 50 period, it's closed. Look, it's closed above the 50 period before and abjectly failed. I get that. That happened the last time. But maybe this time it's different. It's the first time we held a big resistance line and right at 98 and suddenly popped to the 15-minute. I think as you pull back, it's a red to green story or a green to red story if it gets down to 98. That's the over-under for me. The market's trending down. So like there's day two plays that I like to the short side on earnings, but AMD, that's a simple over-under. If it holds the opening range over 98, this is a long today for me. And if it doesn't hold, if at 10 o'clock or something, 9:55, 10:05, we're trending underneath 98, then I'm thinking short. But that's the level I'm looking at. It's that prior high since that last low that we put in the market. I think AMD, at some point when you're now down to what, like 20, I want to say 22, I could be wrong about that. Low 20s PE now because they beat expectations. That gets, like, if that goes down again and gets into the teens, AMD is going to be a buy for other reasons, but I think today it's just about 98.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, better to be up than down, right? I mean, it was fine. Looks like it's just going to do more volume here. It's only done 2 million shares. It's not like it's doing a lot of volume. We'll have to wait to see where those imbalances come from for AMD. But again, like we already talked about sort of the numbers that had come through. It's a nice beat, nice move up to the upside of 106 right there. Let's just see. I mean, Neil already talked about $98. For me, it's a completely different story today. It's going to be NVIDIA. I always want to trade the king of the castle. It's fine. I have it written down here on the sticky note, this area right here. So basically, all of this is what I want. I want to get long into this 112 area. That's 112.50. I wrote down between 112 and 113. I think that's a pretty happy pocket for this play here today. This is going to be hopefully it's going to be a big one. We'll see if it can hold this 111. That's where we dropped to yesterday. I don't think there was anything bad enough in this report to affect NVIDIA. But this little area right into here that we broke through, then that moved down at the end of the day. I don't even know what that was all about. And then the bump back up there. So I would say we wait for that. Marvell probably scaring the stock downside there a little bit. And then we'll wait to see if AMD does have an upside move in it to see if NVIDIA wants to tag along. So look, this is the king of the castle. And I just want to buy it on strength. If there is any, May 28th is when NVIDIA reports. So a drop down into this area between 112 and 113 14 is a spot for me there. We don't have Marvell on the board or anything here, but this is going to be another name it's hanging around this $50 mark. I mean, it's been lower, it's been higher, but right into here, coming into a level of $50. Now, I don't think we get 50 again, but if we do in the next couple of days, I think that's worth looking at, right? I mean, there's not too many stocks that are this bad right now. Marvell had a great recovery from 50 to 60 in that week and a half. Can it do it again? Yes, but right now they might have some SMCI in it a little bit here where, pulling their investor day, maybe there's some more to come here with Marvell. So I think there's a lot of space, a lot of spots to look at with SMH and with the chip space right now. So, I think Marvell, SMCI, look shorting those, and then looking long AMD and NVIDIA. And then we didn't even really look at Intel. Intel's kind of just floating around here. I mean, it's back to $20 again. Like, yeah, I don't know. It had a nice bump there off the bottoms, and we were feeling pretty good that, hey, maybe this $19 or so area was the bottom. But then if we zoom in just a little bit more, you see right here, it's very, very much barcoding. And I think a 1950 or so area there for Intel worth it as well. Looks like you're just, again, talking about NVIDIA falling into that pocket. Intel into this pocket makes sense as well. What do you need? Back to Brendan? All right, let's go back to the desk. I'm done. No, I was just.
What just happened?
All right, all right, all good. Let's go to Tesla here. Still positive on the morning. We had a bit of a move to the downside on some China data that came out this morning. We got back below 278. I mean, we're still well above support, which is the key here for Tesla. China-made EVs down 6%. I mean, this is an ongoing trend here for Tesla.
Hopefully, these upcoming tariff talks maybe help move the needle a little bit, Brendo, for Tesla and China. Couple of headlines: Chinese stimulus again. Today. That's not the angle we're going to cover. We're going to cover some of these upcoming trade talks. So Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and U.S. Trade Rep Jameson Greer will meet their Chinese counterparts this weekend in Switzerland, both on Saturday and Sunday. The talks will include Chinese Vice Premier He Lifeng, Beijing's top trade official. They'll also meet with the Swiss president, but I don't think that that's relevant for our purposes. Here, Bessent said the current tariff levels of like 145% are unsustainable, especially for China, called the current conditions equivalent of an embargo, signaling that openness to resolve. And the tone of the talks have been improving. Bessent said the goal here is de-escalation, not specifically a trade deal, setting those realistic expectations. He says we don't want to decouple, we want fair trade. Greer also echoed the same sentiment. He aims to rebalance trade and open markets to protect national security. But as you and I were talking off camera, I think in the negotiating positions here are kind of being affected a little bit by the media. Every day, Donald Trump's being asked, where are the deals? You have announced no deals. You've got 0 deals. Are the Chinese doing that? Or is the Chinese doing that to the Chinese government? I don't think so. I don't exactly cover them, but my suspicion is that they don't. So I feel the pressure is a little bit on the United States.
Yeah, let's see what comes of these meetings coming up in Switzerland. As you mentioned, here we go. Just tagging 277, guys. Day lows right now. Still positive, though, for Tesla.
Yeah, the NASDAQ just broke fresh lows as well. ES just broke some fresh lows. Headed toward maybe the overnight bonds and going red. Both of those, we were gapped up. It's like talks with China good. Nothing has changed from Tesla compared to yesterday. Like yesterday, we were talking about that 270, well, technically 271, but the 270 level on Tesla holding, it held. There was no it just never got to that sell zone we're looking for, like the low 80s into like 84, 85. It just didn't happen. I kind of felt the same way today, so no change. I think if it gets up there, you look for the fade around the 85 level. That 70 is your line in the sand, and it's a gap fill underneath that 70. I saw in the chat yesterday, someone said it's headed straight to 250 if it breaks 70. I would posit 260 is both prior resistance and the 50-period moving average on the daily if it loses that 270 level. It's actually weird. I really did think that, and we'll talk about Rivian later. I actually, going into last night, thought Rivian would be more exciting of a mover than Tesla today, and it just didn't pan out that way. So yeah, I don't even think I'll trade Rivian today, to be honest. It might only be Tesla that we look at.
All right. Yeah, I have, I'm just putting up the sticky note right now, but I have Tesla written down, and I've already talked about this. Tesla at 276 long. So, I mean, it's coming in right now. I don't think, like, when we wrote this down, it was at 279, but here it comes right back in. I thought it was going to be a good day for Tesla, but right now you see the market pulling back. The reason why I'm talking about 276 is it was yesterday's high. So we just came right into this level yesterday. We couldn't really break it. I mean, sure, we have some breaks in there, but that was early AM, right? So that was a nice move for Tesla, and then it just faded right back. So a perfect N-shaped move right there, up and back down. And then we tried it again, 276, before failing quite dramatically, back down $4 or $5. Then we ripped back that $4 or $5 right there at the end of the day before eventually failing. Like I said, there must have been some sell imbalances, but then really failing there at 350, right back into 4 o'clock, bringing us down to 274. So for me right now, I have to change this price target. And this is the thing, like when I write this sticky note or we put out our notes, it's in the pre-market. So right into here, 274, maybe a good low, 275 there for Tesla. But, you know, this is the leader of the pack. As we can see, the other EV companies nowhere near what these guys are talking about. You're talking about hundreds of thousands of vehicles made per quarter when the other guys are struggling to make 20,000. So I like Tesla here. The new Model Y seems to be a cheaper model. So, you know, we like to spend a little bit less money if we can. So we'll wait to see if Tesla holds this 276 is what I wrote down early, but definitely a risky proposition to take a stock like this early when it has the pedigree of moving, you know, like this opened yesterday 273, goes up to 277. So it could move $3 or $4 off the open. And if it does, then I think it falls right into the pocket down here where we pick something up around 274. So we'll be watching this. 276 is on my mind.
We're just kind of sitting here, not really doing a heck of a lot with the market move currently. 3.7, though, already to the downside here for Uber. I mean, it came down to sales missing ever so slightly here for Uber. It's still 11.5 billion for sales was a miss, but I mean, that's pretty decent. All going to come down to, as we were saying earlier, I think where they go with this autonomous stuff.
Absolutely, and there's a huge category here of focusing on that now, Brendo, more than on prior occasions when we've talked about it. So as Brendo mentioned, a miss on the top line. Revenue, 11.53 billion, missing the street's expectations of 11.62. They did beat on the bottom line, though, shoring up costs, 83 cents per share. The street was looking for 50. Year-over-year growth, Brendo, on revenue, 14%. That's up from 10.13 in the quarter last year. And their take-home money, 1.78 billion. Compare that to last year on their quarter when they lost $654 million. So a really good look there in terms of net income. Now their core segment performance, mobility. So that's when you're calling for an Uber, 21.18 billion, up 13% year over year. Delivery, 20.38, but growing faster than mobility, Brendo, 15% year over year growth. And monthly active platform consumers, 170 million, up 14%, with the total trips there being 3.04 billion trips, up 18%. Now the guide, gross bookings forecast between $45.75 to $47.25 billion, with their EBITDA outlook here for Q2 being 2.02 billion to 2.12 billion. And here's the autonomous. Now, CEO Dara, I'm not going to try to say his last name, it's just too hard. He says autonomous vehicles, the industry is the single greatest opportunity ahead of Uber. They did perform 1.5 million annualized AV trips with some of their partners, Waymo and Austin, as well as WeRide, Pony AI, Momenta, and some others. So looking to diversify who they do business here with the AVs.
It's so interesting. We've had that conversation so many times about when people verb your name. You've officially made it, and I think
there you go.
Uber's definitely falling into that category. I mean, no one's saying we'll just lift it there. You know, it's.
Did your English teacher get mad at you for verbing your nouns like they did with me? They're like, stop saying Google.
I don't remember high school, man. You know how long ago that was?
I don't know. It's imprinted on me, Brendo.
Neil.
She's never said that. No, because it's the right way to say things. Like it's a part of culture. I was gonna point out the fact that we don't even, like, on Sympathy, we talk about the EVs and we'll throw a few EV names out there, right? Like we'll talk Tesla, maybe we'll throw in a little bit of Rivian. We'll talk a little bit about maybe some Polestar, the Chinese EV names. When Uber comes around, we don't even mention Lyft. Now, if Lyft has a story, we might mention Uber as a sympathy play. But we don't. I'm not gonna pull up Lyft here because I haven't looked at it this morning, and I don't anticipate trading it. So, but Uber, look, I think this is one of those moments. I'm gonna equate it to Palantir, and just Palantir's on my list today as a 110 and 117 phase. If you saw Palantir, it was a similar failed double top high break and then continuation short. It eventually found support, and I missed the long. The shorts were the only thing that were good for me yesterday on it. So I missed the long off the 105. But I feel very similar, right? Like, look for that initial level on Uber. And if Palantir didn't get to $100, but I think Uber has a chance. Like, it's about 77.5. I know I said 78, but that's where I'd start looking for it. If you don't hold 80, then I think that's the place to look for it to pick up. Now, when I wrote down initially, I was thinking the fade was all the way back into 85, 86. I'm not as sure about that anymore. I think it might actually be the 83, but it's so tight to that level, and the opens have been so insane on a lot of these stocks that I don't want to, like, if you get that initial flush on Uber, it should just be like a fail of the volume-weighted average price. If it starts booming off the volume-weighted average price, you don't want to be short right above it. You want to wait for like 86. So waiting the peripheries for that. I do feel like Palantir is going to be a good day 2 play and is a similar barometer for it. Even Palantir right now, still rolling away from that 110, which was the short area yesterday, all day yesterday. If Palantir can break through 110, I think it's going to fly. But this I'm shorting into 110. Uber, I think, has a similar pattern to Palantir on its first day after earnings.
Well, you know, I'd much rather talk about Palantir than Uber, but we have some good money in Uber as well right now. And it does disappoint, obviously. So I'm going to swing 0 for 2 there with Palantir. And Palantir is still back to, like we were saying, 106, 107, 108. We'll see where that goes, back to where it was 2 days ago. But yeah, Uber, again, I just feel like the same thing is happening again that's already happened. And that was where we had some great hype with Uber, then earnings came through, then we had a little bit of a dip down, then we had to go through some rough patches before making highs again. So it's a good thing that we broke. So we broke that high right there back in October. This time, we don't break it at all. We break it with the report, but then it comes right back down in. So this 86.50 seems to be the thing that we need to worry about. But the fact that you're down 4% isn't really that bad, and you're kind of holding these levels. So I'm not sure what the expected move for Uber was. I feel like it's probably around here. So, you know, nice. Again, we talked about the report. Not a huge report, but not bad either. Kind of guided a little bit higher. We'll wait to see if it wants to hold. To me, $80 is psychological level. So I would say you wait for 80 to break. I think Uber has a really good chance of going. It doesn't have a huge short float. So a fade back into this spot, I think you can sit there, almost take a max position, you know, around $80. And then if 80 breaks, you just get out and you say, you know what, I just lost probably 75 cents or $1 or something like that. So I think if you start your bidding around 81, get long around 80, 50, and then just drop it off if it breaks $80. I think this is an opportunity to make a lot of money today with a little bit of risk. So I do think Uber is one of the plays that we should be putting on board, or at least looking at. I don't have it written on the sticky note because I did first of all, see, like there, look at this bump right there. It just ripped up. Something must have come out, because it can't just be on me talking about this, right? That's obviously we don't have that kind of power. But there goes Uber, 82 up to 80. It just ripped up $1.50 there. So I don't know. I was just calling this up to see if there's anything on here. There is not. So now Uber is just a little bit further away, guys, from that $80 that we want to be buying it. So there it goes. Uber now only down. I just said, like, down 4%. It's not that bad. Well, now it's down 2.5%. So now it's breaking through $84. So
almost for 78.
There goes Uber, as if we said something there. But you're welcome, Uber. We will not be taking you anytime soon. But you know, it's a good move there. I wish we had that power. You know, we just talk about a stock and then it goes up. That would be real nice.
The Buffett power.
Then now I'm gonna start selling it out. Yeah, Uber's not a great stock, so let's see what winds up happening right now. But no, thanks for that, Uber. Good quarter. It did miss. We'll have to see what winds up happening with it. I don't think it's that bad. Down 4% is pretty par for the course here on some of these names. Disney taking out 102, well, getting up to 102.
10% now.
Yeah, nice move for Disney. We'll talk about that right now.
Yeah, I was just noticing that as well. Better part of, just tagged 10% there. Sitting here watching it go through 100, failed the first time. Now we're at 102. So pretty good report here right across the board for Disney. They did announce, where did it go? I lost it. I'll find it. They did announce a new park as well in Abu Dhabi, the Yas Island, which is, I was going to double check, but the Formula One track is on the Yas Marina or around the Yas Marina, so it's all in that same complex, I would assume. But new park coming to Abu Dhabi.
Interesting. Yeah, definitely nothing there. So that'll be a first for them, Brendo. Let's talk about how they did. So Disney, really good look here. I mean, there was just very little to say badly about this. EPS $1.45. The street wanted $1.20. Revenue $23.62 billion. The street was looking for 23.14. Net income, guys, or take-home money, $3.28 billion. They lost $20 million last year. This quarter, they printed $3.28 billion. Adjusted full year 2025 EPS guidance raised about $5.75 for the full year. That's up 16% year over year from high single digit growth. Let's talk about how they did with streaming. They added subscribers despite the fact that the street was looking for a decline. 126 million people now, about 123.35 was expected. That's about 1.4 million subs. Their direct-to-consumer revenue grew substantially, $6.12 billion, up 8% year over year, kind of driven by price hikes as well as subscriber growth. Now, with respect to their sports, how did they do here with their entertainment segment? $10.68 billion. That's up 9% year over year. This is their box office hit. So there were some underperformers, like we already know, Snow White, it was a great movie, Captain America, Brave New World, but there were some winners. Mufasa, The Lion King, Moana 2, those all boosted content and licensing. Linear TV, Brendo, continues to bleed though. 13% year over year decline. That's something we already know. Advertising dollars leaving that. Last but not least, Brendo, sports segment did quite well over here. 4.5, their experiences and park segment, as you were mentioning, $8.89 billion for their for the entire segment there, 6% year over year. Domestic parks took about $6.5 billion, 9% year over year growth. Higher guest spend as well as that new cruise ship that they have called Disney Treasure. International parks, though, believe it or not, lost money, down 5% year over year. They made $1.44 billion, and consumer products a little bit less than $1 billion, $950 million.
There wasn't much negative as far as details go. Just took out day highs once again, but coming back in as well. There's this as well coming in Q3, that tax benefit on the termination of Hulu deal for Disney, guys. So up and away here.
Up and away. Let's not call it a bad movie. You know you ain't seen that movie, man. That's part of the problem. Is I don't know anybody that's seen that movie. No, I'm sure there's plenty of people saw it, and there's numbers that I could read. It doesn't matter. I watched Disney for Star Wars. I haven't seen Andor yet, which is disappointing. I got to get on that at some point. But Disney, this is one of those things. Like, I could be upset that I sold my Disney for Netflix, and it would be back. I sold it at the worst time, and then because it was in October of last year, and then it ended up being a good decision. But at the time, it felt really bad because it was right before it made the run. It seems like it's poised to make that kind of a run again, and it was literally right here in the mid-90s when it did it, into the 120 level. Now, the annoying thing about this is, see the 50 period and the prior support at 96, right? Like, that looked like, for all the world, where you're going to trade off after the pre-market. Like, you were consolidating. Now, just like you saw Uber fly up there, AMD just caught a bit of a bid. Disney's up at a 101. So I don't think I trade this until it settles the opening range or does some kind of a bigger dip. I guess you could work off the 100 level, but it's really far away from any of the plans I have. Happy for them. I think if I wasn't in it and hadn't decided I like Netflix better, then I'd probably be buying this one in the next couple of days, because I think you've kind of turned a bit of the corner here. So most of the bad news seems to be in. And it doesn't seem like we're going to have to worry about that movie tariff thing. It doesn't seem very likely to me, or realistic.
Yeah, no, I think Disney's fine. I mean, good report there. If you were paying attention to what Sharif was saying, they're pretty much beating everywhere. I do like the fact that, ESPN. There's Disney 96 long. It's gapped up here. It is on the note today down there for 96. So I don't, now we're starting to go higher. So again, 96 looks a lot better here at 845. you know, so on and so forth, even earlier than that when we're looking at this thing. Now it's taken off. So at least we had the area right, or at least the direction right on the stock when we wrote down the long. Unfortunately, you know, maybe we need to write these sticky notes at 9:15 because now it's up there and we may not get that 96. But this is the sort of the level that I was talking about right into here, where we sort of had that move higher. That starts that show right around 96, gaps up into 114, 115. So a fallback into this little level right into here, which goes back to November. That's kind of that's what, when I mention a gap, you know, we gap down through there, we gap up through there, and at the end of the day, we see if we can fall back into 96, 97. Look, as a shareholder, I'm happy. It continues to go higher. We did exit some of this trade up here, but, you know, we're going to hold on to core positions of everything that we trade, including like the Roblox, the Palantirs of the world, and so on. So I like Disney here, 96 bucks. That's a good level for me. I'm not going to do too much more work with this. The imbalances are out now, so let's go have a look and see what just dropped. Oh, nothing? Okay, well, that's a surprise. You know, heading into what's going to be could be an interesting day off open with all these stories, but again, with Fed coming at 2 p.m., we don't expect too many huge moves right now. I'm not really seeing anything on here. 925, we just got updated with all these NASDAQ names. There's really nothing of interest here, and Disney's not moving on this either. So, yeah, it looks like we'll play some dip buy opportunities. The 200 period is now at 97. I think we can up our price targets here between 97 and 98 right here for an early dip buy in Disney. I'm still waiting at 96.50, but I wouldn't be surprised if we do not halt, but if the move halts down somewhere around there.
If Disney halts.
Well, for it to get to 96, it does have to fall like another 4%, 5%.
Disney, I just can't. It's too good of a stock.
No, it's not going to halt. I just meant if the move sort of came to a halt.
If Disney halts, the market has done something distinctly like really bad. Like you'll probably hear us like screaming about other stuff if you ever the day you see Disney.
I think on earnings though it's possible just because it's already up 10%. So I don't think we fall back to zeros, but you know that's possible, but it's not going to happen. Yeah, that's wrong choice of the word.
Stock that can't halt because it's not moving right now. Rivian, disappointed in the lack of volatility with this one.
Yeah. Let's go and find out why.
Short term anyways for Rivian, but yeah, I mean, it was kind of a wait and see type of earnings report, I think, as they plan to spend more. So that was one thing. CapEx is going to go up. Production was slashed for the remainder of this year. RJ kind of echoing Ford this morning, if you missed it. Cars coming out of Mexico for Ford going to see about a $2,000 per unit price increase to cover tariffs. RJ saying, quote unquote, a couple of thousand price hike for tariff purposes.
And they're already expensive cars.
Huge.
Brendo. So, all right, let's talk about how they did. They're still losing money, guys, but getting a little bit better here, shoring up costs. Negative EPS here of 41 pennies, beating the street's expectations of negative 76. Revenue, $1.25 billion, just shy of that, ahead of the expectations of just a little bit more than $1 billion. Gross profit continues to grow here, $206 million. That's the second consecutive quarter in the green here for gross profit, boosted specifically, though, by regulatory credits as well as that software and services revenue, which is about $318 million now. A nice look there. Their unadjusted, net loss still sits at $541 million. But when you compare that to last year on the quarter when they lost $1.5 billion, that's a major improvement. Production and delivery here continues to do well. They're growing production. I just don't know if they're delivering enough vehicles. Produced 14,611, delivered 8,640. So definitely some glut of inventory there. New guidance for full year 2025, dropping down deliveries from 46,000 to 51,000, down now to 40,000 to 60,000, with CapEx though growing 1.8 to 1.9 billion, again ahead of that 1.6 to 1.7 that they guided. The tariff pressure though continues to have a problem. CFO Claire McDonough saying a couple of $1,000s, as you mentioned, Brendo, extra per vehicle now due in tariffs. That does include a 25% tariff on non-USMCA compliant parts. With respect to their partnership with Volkswagen, gross profit, milestone unlocked $1 billion in investment from Volkswagen Group. That's part of the broader $5.8 billion joint venture to leverage Rivian's EV software and electrical architecture. And that joint venture, Brendo, it's called Rivian and VW Group Technology. So keep an eye on that.
And they're still saying 45,000 for the R2.
I don't know, man.
We shall see.
Tariffs, unless they can make the entire thing in the United States, you've got to take advantage. You got to take, got to factor that in.
We'll see. A little bit more volume coming in here, guys, to the upside for Rivian.
So look, for Rivian, there was just a spike we'll get to in a quick second. For Rivian, until it breaks out of the range the last couple of days, it's like a wait till it breaks under 1310 or 1370, and then I'll reassess, joining the direction in either way. But you just had a few things. I want to quickly mention Apple, because Apple yesterday was a gift off the 200 level, and the 201 we talked about for a bit of a fade. So I still believe fade under 201 and break above 201 quarter, but we just had a spike down on, like Apple did this, there was a spike down a little bit on NVIDIA. There were no imbalances on either one of those moves. So the market is coming back in, and I saw a lot of people say, what just happened? There was just a couple of stocks that hit the bid at the same time. So at the open, I want to short into 201 on Apple. We already talked about some of the dip buys.
Here we go. We're open
things like
now.
AMD, but we're open in
And now we're open.
second.
All right. At Disney right now, Disney just touched 103, by the way. So
of course,
Disney absolutely ripping there off the open. Welcome to the show one more time, everybody. It's going to be a good one once again, hopefully anyways. There goes Disney 103, back down into 101.50 right now. Watching out for NVIDIA and about to get long right around. I'm just going to buy right now. Nice dip down. I was waiting for 50s for NVIDIA. Now we're in it a little bit early. I understand that. But we had written down 112 into 113 into this comfort zone right now for NVIDIA. So I'm actually going to take a little bit more right here if I can get it, with also trying to bid 50s. So look, man, you got to be somewhat definitive on what the plan of action here is, and I already sort of have one, and that is watch out to see what happens here at this 112 marker for NVIDIA. So a nice little early position. We're in it right now. It's just 20 cents in the money, but let's see what winds up happening here with NVIDIA.
Yeah, AMD with a little bit of a pullback, but you know what? Not that harsh. It's still above the $100 level. I don't know if we'll get that 98. Maybe it comes into play. We just try to be patient with that. Uber's not doing anything, just chilling out above VWAP right now. And Apple is still looking incredibly weak. Yeah, I don't know if we're going to get that 200 play,
now,
as it's still underneath $199. And Palantir lost the bid almost right away. So the chance to get this off VWAP even, or the 110 level, we're just going to have to be a little bit patient with it. PLTR still under a lot of pressure, just went red.
All right, a day off. We're back in the building. 75 cents right now on NVIDIA trying to go upside, but we're trying to scalp a little bit off right there just because of where we're at, man. I mean, I don't know. This market's a very, very early days. And so we do get that little bump up right there. So we do pick that bottom. And it's not like it's something that we didn't write down. We did write down between 112 to 113. So, of course, we're going to be long here, 112.70. And we thought we liked it. We put a little bit more on there and then got some out on that upside. So let's wait to see now. My next offer right here is 113. 113 teens, then 50s. Again, I did want to look at Uber to see what was going on there. So nice to move back up to 84. That was great. But there it is. Now back down that 5% again. We'll wait to see what happens around $80 to $81. But man, oh man, here it is, man. It's going to be the big banger so far of the day right now with NVIDIA. A trade we've got on, 1 for 1 here. And I'm waiting for 113.50 to see if it does get back up there. That's where VWAP is. So here we go again. Let's see what we can wind up doing.
It must be huge because AMD is at 103 already. I just canceled the 98 bid on AMD because if it gets down there, like a whole lot of other stuff has happened. Like it's absolutely booming to the upside right now and just breaking out and ripping faces off at this moment. So clearly incredibly weak. I haven't really looked at Tesla. I just heard you mention Tesla, but here comes Palantir. So look, if AMD's not going to give us a dip off 98, VWAP sits at $100. That's the place to look to join. Palantir is coming in hot to that 110 level, so let's let it get into 110. That's yesterday's resistance on PLTR. The market's not doing anything. You got to be. It's all about individual names at this particular moment. Apple still no short at the 200 to 201 level, but Palantir looks like it does want to test that 110. And Uber is similar to AMD. There was almost no chance unless you were long up top.
There's our two. I mean, this is what we wrote down, man. We wrote down 276 for Tesla. So let's take $1 and see if it winds up holding right now. I mean, this market is kind of just back and forth. As Neil said, there's no real direction from what I can see yet. I mean, some of these stocks, it is going to be a stock picker's market. And when you are picking said stocks, you got to be careful, make sure that you do get out when levels are hit and whatnot. 275.50 breaker on Tesla. We're out of that one because here it comes right now. We said that this name could be a falling knife, but we are in a second trade here. And it is, okay, let's go. All right, let's go. Right now, yeah, let it go. On Tesla, now 50 cents. We just took 50 cents there because our risk is 50 cents. So if this can get back upside, that'd be great, but who knows where we're going right now on Tesla. It does look, there it comes. So it is going to lose the bid. It's there it goes. It doesn't fail. It was very aggressive right there. A couple outs, a couple ins, but at the end of the day, there goes Tesla falling back down right now. So you got to take the profits where the profits lie. So slightly down there on Tesla, but thankfully we're able to get some out as the market doesn't look weak, but Tesla does. So that was an idea on here. 276 long. We're out of it at 275.50. Let's see if it does hold. A name coming back in now is NVIDIA as well, but some more outs there. We just got some more outs as it went back up to that one. We told you 113 teens, so that's what we're looking at right there for Tesla. Let's see if for NVIDIA. Let's see if Tesla can get back above that 276. I'll punch long, maybe 276 quarters.
Yeah, a couple of things. Just it's crazy. Like I'm looking at the ES and Nasdaq, and they're not really doing anything. So you got to find where the movers are. We'll get to Arsis in the super chat, but SMCI just came in to the pre-market. I'm going to call it the pre-market high, even though it's not. Like 31 quarter in here. So I just grabbed some 31s and a bit of an over and under to the downside, and then Palantir in that 110. So first look, Palantir does get to 109.85 or something like that, and then dips back underneath that pre-market high-ish. It's not really the high. So short that one off 64. If it breaks 110, I'm out. Want to play this back into the volume-weighted average prices. Look, the market's headed lower, believe it or not. So you have a couple of names which are absolutely booming to the upside, like AMD, Palantir, but it's going to play the fades as we see fit. So first bid down here, 109.30-ish, and a similar thing on SMCI. But Palantir is the one that's starting to come back in here. It's looking for the fill. Where am I sitting? I wasn't sitting Jesse Barfield.
You were not?
I was not. I thought I was on. No, I was sitting Jesse Barfield. I should have been sitting 31, Reggie Miller. So yeah, wow. I just there was sitting on the bid, and then it comes right back up. So I had a chance to scalp that out. I could have moved the bid. Sometimes you should just hit the offer in that situation. But I'm not going to move the target on this. If I'm giving it to 110, I want to make sure 1-to-1 we're taking 30 the first way through. So I'll take the L on that. But I could have scalped out of that one. You saw it right there on the bid, and it couldn't hit me. So SMCI is still working. And Apple, what is going on? Apple's at 197.50?
Yeah, that Palantir trade was the one that's riffing there. Apple with the tank there. I don't know, I'm not hearing anything in my ear, so we'll see if there's any sort of an update there. But as China becomes maybe more of an issue,
it was supposedly good news on China that they're actually
supposedly,
right. They're meeting this weekend in person.
Right, yeah.
That's what they would. It doesn't mean it's good news. You would think it's good news.
Right, and also doesn't mean it's happening, right?
No.
So, all right. So Disney right there comes right back in. Now VWAP is $100. So I'm going to play off that. So if we do get a $100 dip buy opportunity for Disney, I'm going to buy it and then lose it if it breaks 100. So we do need now to come back in $1. But finally, it's only $9.37. And so it looks like we have seen a little bit of a bottom there. Now, whether or not that's going to hold, that's why we use something like a VWAP, something like that to be able to get out. So again, day one play there for Disney. But here we go, man. It is going to be NVIDIA again. I'm going to take an opportunity to get something out here in the teens. If we can do that, we will. But yeah, so right now Disney's trying to go back upside. A play that I've wanted to get into was Google, but there goes NVIDIA. We just got a 113 teen again. Google also coming back in. As this market's trying to find its way, it's trying to get red, actually, right now. There it is. So now it is going to go red, down to zeros one more time. We've bounced off of this bottom here, which is basically, us turning green. What is that, 19,870 or so now for the futures. So I'm trying to be patient. My next trade to go is Tesla. Breaking, yes, go Palantir. Let's go, man. Too bad we waited for 105. That low is 106. But right into there, 274, 275, the bottom there for Tesla. I'm looking for a break above 276. So if we can get that, your boy is pushing long right there on Tesla for sure if we do get that. And again, the 105 bottom, whether or not you know, that was just wicked down there to 106. Actually, basically 107. So Palantir is off right now. We don't have it. So we'll have to wait for it. But we're going to go over to Adair and see what's going on with some of the stories.
I couldn't find anything on Apple, so I want to let you guys know, unsure of what's happening here with AAPL almost taking out these pre-market and post-market lows. But a couple small caps on watch, including MEGL and ASST. Here's MEGL, Magic Empire, definitely removed from the pre-market high, but trying to bounce a bit here. And this is ASST, near kind of hovering around a high of days. That is going to be asset entities. Both of them have rallied in the past. Make sure to like and subscribe. Just a reminder, there's no economic data today until the FOMC meeting at 2 o'clock. Back to you.
And Palantir doesn't even have a red candle.
No.
Right now. And Palantir's 111. Look at that. 107. Alex Karp is like 107. Really? I'll take some of those. Boom. 108, 109, 110. 111 right now as we wait. We are almost back into Tesla. It's trying to break through some of those levels. We wrote down 276.25. That is exactly where we just stopped at there for Tesla. So kind of lucky to not have gotten punched in, but you know, we do pick that price for a reason. So that little bottom is 274.50. Maybe we'll dip by something into 275 now, using that as a low. But
Uber's coming in too. So
yeah, I mean, the market is kind of trying to figure it out.
Sort of joked around about Uber, and I said, yeah, the good chance of getting it underneath $80 on Uber at the open, and that's where it seems like we're headed. All of a sudden, we're going to get underneath that $80 in like a couple of seconds here. So the pre-market low is 79, but I'm looking for the curl on Uber. Didn't think it would go that way. I mean, actually, I wanted a short on Apple that obviously we didn't get. But Uber, $80 is the current low. It's got an almost perfect wick into 80. If it closes above this 80, then I take that long. Otherwise, I wait for the break and get the long underneath the $80 level. So Uber, I didn't think it was a bad report, but it was sort of the just sell off the high, like a double top on the daily. And once it got underneath, you know, that 52-week high, there was almost nothing you could do about it. I'm going to take the shot in here, see if we can get some 50s. It is closing above that $80 level. So Uber, we're going to take our first salvo into it here on the Uber one.
All right, we're taking, yeah, that's a good one. We're taking another dollar though right now.
It's not that good. No.
We get, no, it's not that. It was all right. We take another play here on Tesla. We talked about that we wanted the long. So now we're green on Tesla, position pending where this goes from here. So it's a nice move there for Tesla as we're just step up our game. Like, you know, we're trying to get less losses, but bigger wins with bigger shares. So here we go for Tesla, now trying to go upside again. So we nailed it. I mean, both of these trades that we're in are now 70-cent winners, and we're pretty proud of them, obviously, because NVIDIA is trying to go. So there goes NVIDIA. Let's go. We're almost at our day goal right here, but there goes Tesla. There it is. Now it's official. Now you're back in that club now with Tesla as we just touched out 277.30 right there on the high side, and looking to get even higher right now is Tesla. So we said that we wanted to be back in that name, and there it is, man. 277.30. That is 277.40 is the 200 period moving average. So let's get out one more piece here at 10s if we can before this one name falls back in. You always want to take advantage of those nice moves up there in the futures. TOVX was one that was on our watch list, and the reason why we have to talk about this now is now it's down. So TOVX was having a nice day, but now it's at $1 again. So watch out for that smooth dollar break, right, on this. I think this is a biotech, right? TOVX. Is it something pharmaceuticals? Hold on a second. Yeah, Theriva Bio. So nice move back in. Okay, there goes Tesla again. Nice move back in for TOVX, coming right through from $2. Great dump off if you're short, but now you wait to see if that $1 mark wants to hold right there on TOVX. It looks like so far so good, but if it breaks it, man, don't even like. You might not want to get out the first couple pennies, but definitely after that, you know, not holding the $1 mark on this stock, looking pretty dangerous because there it is right there. The break back down below gets us right back to the pre-split level, I guess, of 11 cents. So watch out there for TOVX. Looks like it's trying to breaker 19. Do you read? Tesla starting to go. So get those EV trucks fired up, man, and we'll see what happens there with the new Model Y. I think Pepsi, I think that's interesting. They're big trucks there.
What do you call
whatever 18-wheelers or whatever the heck.
Yeah, the big
the rigs. Yeah,
the rigs. That's what we're looking for. No, the market's actually starting to really go here. Finally, oops, I have Apple up because I'm thinking the plan of action on Apple was to be short. So I'm like, I wanted this to pop into VWAP and give me something to be able to fade. We did get into Uber, although it's stalling at the even dollar. Like, it just got to the 81 level and did a bit of a U-turn. So it broke 81, came back underneath it, got some out at the 90-something, I believe. I want to reload this in front of 80 if we can and play this into VWAP. And then I was reminded, everyone was yelling about HIMS. That's right, HIMS day 2. Remember HIMS? Yeah, the one that was squeezing everybody's face off in the morning. Well, it did a pullback after that first flush that was into the 43. Today it was 46 that we like because that was that prior high. But look at the wick. Actually goes into the high from yesterday morning at $47. Seems like a bit of a continuation play here, a little bit higher than we expected on HIMS. Watch out if it can hold a bit above 50. This has already been squeezing people. Well, squeezing shorts, not squeezing people, squeezing shorts pretty badly yesterday. So I'm going to reload this Uber, set first chance we get, and I still believe Apple short. I'm not unconvinced that this isn't a short, so I want to wait for it to get into the volume-weighted average price, as 200 is very, very far away at this point. Not sure why we were so weak on Apple, but it's still relative to the market looking like a little bit of a dog.
All right, so that was TIVX there. You just talked a little bit about TOVX. Also, Bitcoin holding 97 is also pretty interesting. We're going to see if this really wants to go today. So we're going to hold on to Tesla now. We've already taken out under half. We have about 65% left here on Tesla. Just to see the next level there, though, 278. So I'm going to put something up there and then just see if we can sort of trade away from it if we can get up to that level, and then we'll trade away and get up to 279 and then hopefully breaking through 280. But these are all ifs and buts, right? So if it goes up, we are coming into another level right now. I mean, we got to start ringing the register, man. This is a slapper right now. Like, I love not being here, but I also love being here. So sitting here and trading, you know, make it worth it when you come in every single day. Take profits where there is something. Like, that just came up to the 50-period moving average. So, yeah, good level there. Yeah, if it gets to 280 Ozan, then we will start to clear some out. Yeah, just backing on some earnings plays there. NVIDIA does have that move up, then the move back in, but we still trade with the king. We're at the highest spot we've been at all day right now, because there goes NVIDIA, 90 cents. Sorry, $1, 90 cents in Tesla, 70 cents now in NVIDIA as they start to go upside. Let's look at a different spot, though. JP Morgan, 250. That could be something that it winds up holding. Who knows about JP Morgan? Another earnings play. I'm always looking at even dollars, right? We did bid down here again for Disney, but that's not coming through. All these stocks seem to be stuck right now. I mean, the Nasdaq. Did Apple even recover?
Apple is trying to recover. No, Apple's got 3 or 4 green candles in a row. I'm just looking up to confirm, but we played the VWAP on Uber. Look, Uber buy the dip in the prior support and then play back into VWAP for the trend. So it does holds the $80 level, doesn't break underneath 80. But we just got to VWAP on the NASDAQ and made a bit of a left turn. So I'm going to stick to the plan. If we're trending down and a name is weak on earnings, then I want to wait. Because the 8+ level for me wasn't 80. It was supposed to be down in the 78 area. So if we get down there, I want to take another shot at Uber. But able to get it back to VWAP in here. It's Apple that's sort of defying my expectations. When the market pulled to VWAP, I wanted Apple to pull to VWAP, and it's still almost a dollar away. So yeah, you just got to be patient. Like, the market just got strong there. It's only green candles so far in the 3 minutes, so maybe let it go a little bit higher before we jump into this thing too early to the short side. So yeah, just gonna be patient. Thankfully, Uber was able to work out for us. Oh, and AMD, 98, still possible. AMD is tracking to breaking that 80 level, the $100 level. It just lost the volume-weighted average price. So it was so strong off the open. If it loses 100, then we're back to waiting for the 98 level on AMD. So as I said, patience is going to be a virtue here today. Just a couple of quick scalp trades off the bat. Unfortunately, it was a loss on Palantir, but I think it just came down to I didn't scalp the trade when I had a chance on Palantir. It did give you the 1-to-1, and now all of a sudden, the 110 that was the brick wall yesterday, I think it's a brick wall in the other direction. And I actually wrote on my note that it should have been a long above 111, but I like that Uber 80 more. So we're going to buy Palantir. As long as I see it hold VWAP in 110, we're going to try to buy into it because it should have been a reverse in the first place.
Yeah, definitely liking that name. We are having problems with some of my trades. Well, no, we're not, but Tesla is not going too much more than 277. So we take another fill right there. I said that we would wait, but we'd have 2 more fills out there at 277.50. So now I promise, 277.78. If we can get that right up into there, which is sort of this high right there, it's 80s. So we'll sit a little bit ahead of that. It actually is 78. If we can get that, then fine. Other than that, we'll wait for it to drip down just a little bit here. Robinhood's a name we haven't mentioned yet today, and Robinhood's looking at $50 one more time. Tesla just dropped out pretty dramatically there. Look at this move, right back in there for Tesla. So nice drip there. I'm going to buy this move back down. Again, news could be happening at any time. Right now, JD Vance is yapping about something about China, I just heard. So we're going to have to wait to see here. But if this goes below 2C, this is what I'm saying about trying to scalp out.
Anything.
If this drips below 274.50, then we're going to be gone. That is the day's low. Here it comes. That is the day's low for Tesla. So when you're trading stocks that are in the news, this is what could happen. So right there, nice move down on the market immediately and reacted for Tesla as it seems to want to move just a little bit lower right now. So we'll wait to see what winds up going on now. But we're long right here on Tesla, 275.57s. Giving it about $1. You know, we took $1 and change on some of these moves higher. So let's see if we can get Tesla to settle down a bit.
Yeah, speaking of settling down, well, Apple's settled downside, so we're not going to get that push into VWAP. Little too patient on that one, apparently. But you know what? The market broke to the low. That does mean Palantir should retest that 110 as it's doing right now. So good chance that it can bounce off this 110 level, looking incredibly strong. Let's go over to Adara at the desk, see what the news is.
There really isn't any news that I can find. I just want to keep you guys apprised of what I'm seeing over here on this desk. I'm seeing some comments here coming out about India and Pakistan. We know that those tensions have been ongoing here, both the Indian government and the foreign policy chief of the EU mentioning the situation right now, just seeing those headlines. Also, again, comments coming through from Vice President of the U.S., JD Vance, saying that conversations are ongoing with the EU. Nothing supermarket moving here. I just want to let you know these are the headlines we're seeing. They are geopolitically relevant, but nothing specifically that I can see that would be moving stocks here. Back to you.
All right, Tesla did, yeah. What's up, Jay Lee, about the TQQ short? Yeah, I mean, great call on that one, up to VWAP. That is for sure. Right now, I'm just trying to do what I'm trying to do right there. We took some more profits, so let's go, man. It is a ring the register type event right now because let's go, Tesla. That's what I'm saying, man. We bought that dip against that bottom again, and the bottom just held, and that's, you know, we try not to get so emotional. You know, we've changed our ways as far as that is concerned because we're just here all about making money, all about that business. So here it comes. There it goes, 276. Here we go. We are now at the highest spot. Tesla almost recovers. We need to get back to 277, but nice move back to 276. We're now in the money. Our average price was 275.50, if you remember. So this could still drip out and wind up losing on this, but we have gotten some out on the way back up because when you drop like that out of nowhere, it just shows you that like all of your profits that you've had on the day can easily get wiped out and more, especially when you average in. That first average in right there was 275.50. I'm going to do that. And then that last one was 275, giving it a little bit of a breaker down there to 274.50. If we do break that level, we're giving it a little bit of room, but after that, it's gone. So if we break that level right there, we are out. That was always the level that we're sitting at. So we haven't changed anything. I didn't even hit any keys. It all just fell in. The only keys we got were some of these profit spots right now. And the reason why I'm taking some of this out is we have a big boy position. And, you know, there's nothing, you know, like if you're going to trade bigger size, you do have to be a little responsible, obviously, with your positions. We've taken huge hits and huge winners. And we're just hoping to put this one in the ladder right now. But I don't know how huge this is going to be. The market is zeros again. So we were just back up and doing quite well there on a huge, not a huge move, but a nice recovery. And then it gave it back in one candle. So what took basically a half hour, 20 minutes to build, just came right back in one move. So that's part of the issue right now. We're near the highest spot we've been at all day because of the reload, but we're waiting for a lot more than where we're at right now. So let's go over to Adara and figure out what she's up to.
We did have a Trump Truth Social post. Now, it's worth noting this came out, it looks like about a minute after This drop to the downside, so not necessarily correlated. It has nothing to do with the market. It's just him talking about his issues with some judges. But it is worth noting because, as I've said previously, there is a correlation between Donald Trump truth posts before 10 a.m. and these sharp market moves, again, even if they're not related to the market. So Trump posting around the same time as this drop, a non-market related Truth Social post. I just want to clarify some other potential color to this situation. Also, J.D. Vance, Vice President of the U.S., saying that negotiations with Iran are right now so far so good. So some other geopolitical updates here. Back to you guys.
Great. Now Iran's in the building?
Iran?
Okay.
That's not the update that we want,
yeah.
JD.
I don't think I want
JD
JD talking about Iran with anybody, to be honest with you.
All
right.
Comment.
Yeah.
Yeah, no comment. So I'm going to take, every time I see some buyers start to stack, oh, shit, that's the wrong way to think about it. Anytime I see some sellers start to stack up on Palantir, it is day 2 SSR, short sell restricted, meaning you can't hit the bid to go short. So if someone's trying to short, they kind of follow it down a little bit. And so if I see that happen, even to a certain extent, when they get hit or get relieved, I like those levels for a punch. So I just took it off of 111 and then tried to add to it. And then they immediately dumped it. The second it got above 111.10, they dumped it back into 80s. So I want to see it clear out that level, or we go back to waiting for VWAP. I said I was waiting for 110 in VWAP. I just wanted to explain the 111, but I did see some price action that I wanted to hit the guy, and went for it. Lost about 20 cents on it, but I think 110 is still the level to look for unless we can find a bid above that level. Apple, still no change. The market bounces. Apple doesn't bounce. Still looking incredibly weak here on Apple. Just got to be patient with it. If it puts in lower highs again, then I might have a trend to work off of and just short the high of the trend, something along those lines. As far as Uber goes, it's now starting to consolidate above the volume weighted average price. So instead of waiting to get down to 80 again, I don't know if we'll see that price. Might have to start looking for VWAP, or even better, like if this goes all V-shape and takes out the top, that could go squeezing a little bit here on Uber. So we took our shot off at 80, thinking we'd get a rebound when the market went lower. It just hasn't happened. The stock is absolutely strong at this moment. I'm really just disappointed in Apple. It was kind of the best one off that 200 level yesterday, and we didn't get any cracks at it here today. So very disappointing for me on Apple. No trades whatsoever, despite wanting that short trade. But Palantir's volume's through the roof. And now the buyers are starting to win above 111. So yeah, you might not get that 110, and there's room to, it's a weird thing to say, but 117 was the big level that we're looking at. I think both Obi and I were like 117. So I think there's a lot of room to rally on this, and taking multiple shots makes sense. I'll try the next available dip. If we get any kind of red candles, and try a mean reversion on Palantir if we can't get VWAP.
All right, here we go. We just got some more out. I like I was saying, I think Tesla's having a problem here with 276. So we have some offers: 276.15, 276.40. Absolutely no problems with NVIDIA, as that keeps on trying to go a little bit higher. We'll put out a little bit more right now. I'm just getting out of very, very light shares because I'm trying to think about a long today, and especially if we can get going. I think we have two amazing stocks exactly for that with NVIDIA. Neil's not going to be in anything. You can see our positions at the bottom. I have NVIDIA and Tesla right now. I am looking for some Palantir, but I'm also looking for some Disney as well. If that can come in, we almost got that 100 bid again. So we'll see if we can get that pull back in for Disney. It may crack and head lower. I'm actually going to switch the size a little bit there for Disney. So let's just say go from whatever, let's cut it in half, what I was going to deal with now for Disney, just in case, because it could come screaming down. I wanted to watch out for 100, but now VWAP's at $100.30. So breaking that, then breaking 100 probably does signify a little bit lower. We're banging it out right now today. Today is going to be a money-making day, but we have to wait for these positions to go. If we cash out right now, we have half of our daily goal. So 2 for 2, positive today over here. But we're going to wait to see what winds up happening with Disney. You already talked about Palantir. There was another name. Oh, that TOVX. So I think we all had the same idea right here. Glad I mentioned it, and that was not holding this thing under $1. So there it is, man. We said that as soon as that breaks $1, you're probably looking to go short. If you have done that, you are now in the money about, let's say, 20% or a little bit more than that. 15 cents on $1, that's 15%. So we'll see if that can get back downside. Its low was that 20% down here at 80. So it does make a move down to 80 cents right there on TOVX, as that name does not get going at all today and actually falling right off. All right, Vice President Vance has now ended whatever he's talking about right now. So we'll wait to see what's going on now. But there it is, man, 276, a nice move there. Looks like Tesla wants to go lower here. We are out of this at a 274.50 break. That is for sure. So, yeah, you know, dreams to nightmares may be on Tesla, but it's not going to be a nightmare. Just wish it was a dream. So we'll wait to see if that goes. Rivian, also, Neil.
Rivian's not moving.
Yeah, but
it's stair step up on Rivian. It's stair step up Rivian. It's stair step up Uber right now. Lucid I haven't looked at. Just Apple, it sucks.
I'm gonna get out.
Look, Uber can't seem to stop. There was one little dip that made us think we were gonna get back in underneath the volume weighted average price, and since it broke away from that, just no entry yet. Like, I still think if it goes V-shape, you can look at longs for the breakout. But for now, I'm gonna want this 82 level on Uber. Want to jump back into that long at some point. Again, it was a mean reversion trade off the 80 that takes into VWAP. That's generally the plan of action almost every single time. Yeah, I'm a little surprised with all this strength in the market, Uber, the EVs trending up, why Tesla's going down. But I don't want to pivot too far away from the names we want to be in. So we'll go to Adair with happening now. I'm buying next available dip, Palantir and Uber. Those two are, to me, trending up really nicely, and that's what I want to get into next if there's not going to be an Apple short that makes sense to me. Let's go to Adair for happening now.
Lots of updates in the tariff situation overnight. We did have the offices of U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer both saying that Bessent and Greer are going to be meeting with some Chinese officials to discuss trade in Switzerland. Here is the S&P 500, slightly positive here on the day, certainly not as strong as we were post-market or even pre-market. And speaking of Scott Bessent, he's going to be giving his second congressional testimony in 2 days. This time it's just his annual testimony to Congress, so I'll be watching that to see if there's anything of note. Tons of earnings names, so many earnings names today. One of them is UBER. Uber beating on EPS but missing on sales, trying to bounce a little bit here. Then we have Advanced Micro Devices. This is generally a pretty good report. They beat on EPS, they beat on sales, strong data center revenue growth, but lower end of their Q2 guidance, missing estimates. Then we have Amazon actually separately announcing via a filing that they have a $84 million stake in AMD, but also set to invest about $4 billion to launch ASW infrastructure in Chile, and announcing their Vulcan robot. They're planning on using this to integrate and help workers in their warehouses rather than replacing human employees entirely, or that's what they said during the announcement. Make sure to like, subscribe, and stay tuned with us at 2 p.m. for the FOMC rate decision. Back to you.
Yeah, I forgot about that Vulcan.
Yes, the Vulcan.
I did want to look at that. That's for sure.
Well, it's a very logical choice to watch.
Vulcan, is that a show?
Vulcan, yeah.
What?
Spock, Logic. Yeah, it's a Star Wars. It's a Star Trek thing.
It's a Star Wars thing.
All right, so maybe this is
I get it now.
This might be the only dip that we get on. I almost said Rivian, but I mean Palantir. So Palantir could come back in. I bought on the way up last time. I'm looking for that dip. It could go high or low. But 110 is, like, that's the area underneath that prior high in here. See that 109.5 into 110? That's where I think the reverse is wrong and the long is wrong. So as long as it's above that, we want to be buying dips. It can't even close a bar to the downside. Like, it just tried to tag underneath 111, gets there, and then just levitates up to a 111.50. Like, I don't want to chase that move because that's what I did last time and it didn't work, where I just bought the top of the bounce. So I'm not going to make that play on Palantir. We'll wait for a dip that makes a little bit more sense. Same thing with Uber. Come on, AMD. All right, AMD. AMD doesn't want to get to 98. That's the level that we like the long, but it's holding underneath $100. Now this has a trend that you can look at. You've got like the high at the open, you've got the fail at the volume weighted average price, and then you have this little trend bottom here. I'm not drawing that very well. There, you want to connect as many parts as possible when you're drawing a trend line, so you want to have a nice intersection. So if it holds the low and can close above 100, that's now a trend break on AMD, which would give us our fill without getting it to 98, which was the level we wanted. So if that doesn't get the level we want, It's not as if Uber didn't either, but it gave you a good reversion off 80 anyways. And Disney's not going to get to that level. Maybe worth a look, trading off something different. But I want to see a trend break here on AMD if I can't get a good dip buy on PLTR.
All right. Yeah, so look, guys, I'm just sort of in the same positions that we've been looking at here with NVIDIA and Tesla because, like I said, man, my job is to put on some winning trades and to try to show you guys, what's going on here, and that's going to be the style. So the only thing that I have written on here, Tesla, NVIDIA, Palantir, and Disney. So we wait for Disney to come through as well. The one thing that the spidey senses are going a little bit right now, and that is just that definitely Tesla not feeling too great right now. It's we've taken advantage. So we lost early on it. We made money back. We're positive on it, but we are going to go red if it does break this 174.50, and it doesn't want to go. It seems like despite the market moving higher here, Tesla is having its issues getting going. And I'm going to take one more shot at 274.75, and then if we lose that, I think that's worth 25 cents worth of risk just to come back down into here. And with slippage, we understand we'll probably lose. If we're trying to get out at 274.50, everybody probably is because that's that bottom. So I give it to 274.20 or so on some kind of a slippage where we'll probably get punched out. So we're kind of already debating this play right here and what our share size needs to be because NVIDIA, and I know Neil just talked about AMD, NVIDIA's at the high of the day pretty much. We opened up right here at 113.50s, and we're right here right now. So we'll see if that can make a move. I mean, this has been the great trade for me because it came right into the level that we thought, and it started to rip a little bit higher. So I do like Disney. I was looking at Amazon. That's why we mentioned that Vulcan thing there. I really liked Amazon. I like this name at 180. We talked about that last week when that bullshit news story came out about the haul service. And then now it's all the way back up. So we missed that opportunity to buy that because I didn't even realize I only put a day order because it does come right back into 180 that very next day. So I don't think, look, man, I'm long forever. So I don't think that much difference me buying at 188 than 180. But if I don't think the market has seen bottoms yet, which I'm not sure it has, I want to wait to see if Amazon can come back. And I've actually haven't bought anything. I'm on schedule now to buy, at least average into the S&P right now, but I don't think I'm going to do that today, but maybe we will. We'll see. It's just it's that drip strategy that I'm trying to figure out
drip.
Right now, and just it's
the drip.
It's not the drip. Like the drip for the stock is you get the dividend and it drips in. But I was just talking about dollar cost averaging, dripping some funds into the S&P.
Well, what I was gonna say is the drip is still happening to the downside on AMD.
And here comes Tesla.
And I don't mean like a dividend reinvestment program. I mean AMD can't seem to catch the bid. So maybe we will get all the way down to yesterday's low. So 98, that's a nice area. The actual bottom's kind of like 97.5. So I guess there is where we're gonna look for a curl. But the other thing is two things going on, and the two names that we've been active on, Palantir a couple of times, and then Uber. Palantir is pulling into the volume-weighted average price, it seems. So I think that's the place I'm going to look. It can break VWAP, and I still like it underneath the volume-weighted average price. Think HIMS yesterday. VWAP was like 44, the long was at 43. So I think the same thing with Palantir on this dip. And Uber is holding. Wow, Uber's at 84 already and attempting to break out this triple top. That's a dark pool wick overnight. So 1, 2, actually quadruple top because 3 times until now it's tested this 84. VWAP I like as well on Uber. We liked it to VWAP. We'll like it back in at VWAP if we're not just getting a breakout of the 84 level outright. Okay, Palantir, I guess you're not getting to VWAP at all. No, 111 just held again. All right, we'll weasel in if the buyers step in again here. And every now and then on Palantir, you're going to see stuff that's funny on the book where it looks like someone's walking it down. Technically, it is happening, but it's not exactly what you think. It's somebody that's been trying to short and they can't hit the bid. And the second there's an uptick, they get that fill. But every time it releases one of those, it kind of flashes up like 5 or 6 cents in one shot, and it seems stronger than it is. That's what's happening right now. So I'm going to take a little bit of a salvo in front of 111 if we can't get something closer to the 110 level on PLTR. Strong trend to the upside. We want some continuation there.
Intel holding off of $20 as well. Still looking at that Amazon. Tesla's still bothering me as well, but we just got an NVIDIA bump up, which is real nice. It just got up to 113.60 right there into VWAP. So we actually didn't have any offers there because, into the 200 period. We were waiting for this thing to absolutely rock, and it's not doing it quite yet. I was at 113.75, which is where that is right there. So I'm going to, did I just get out? No, I didn't. Oh, thank you so much, Rob. Always the best of cups as well. So thank you, Rob, for that one. I'm going to put an offer right here just to grab something at 56 and 57 right there. Did we get it? No, we did not yet. We're at 57 or 56. Must be at 57. There it is. So we do get our 57 fill right there. So that's a nice trade for us here as we are now $1 plus in the money now. It took a while. Well, we almost were. It took a while for that to get going on NVIDIA, but now we're finally near the high of the day on the futures. And again, just the high of the open market, which we opened up right here. So now it's starting to go a little bit, further northbound now. We'll wait to see, man. 2 p.m. is the Fed speak. So I really want to hold all of these longs until then, to be honest with you. I do want to find some more value here. I'm still waiting for Disney to dip a little bit. Okay, well, here it comes. So it is into this area. Look, I was going to give this one, I'm bidding $100.15. I want to get as close to $100 as possible. When we put this order out, VWAP was where it was. Now it's climbing a little bit. So it was at $100. I'm still going to give it to that 100. I'd rather obviously it not break, but I think this is worth something. As we always say, when there's a gap, which there is, 9%, play back to VWAP. All right, so Tesla and NVIDIA. I'm still right now at the highest spot we've been at, but still not quite yet a daily goal. Some of these stocks just aren't really when's the last time you saw Tesla, honestly, be in a, let's call it a $1 range for 22 minutes?
Never.
Off the open.
Not never, but.
Yeah, no, you don't see it often. With the market starting to go higher and the market higher to begin with, Tesla is a little bit of a worry spot for me. So with that being said, we're going to get a 5% more right here. I just offered some 50s. Hopefully we can get that. But you can see right now a slight pull. See, look at this. A slight pullback in the market. The market's just dripping just a little bit. And there it goes to the downside right now. So yeah, I'm very, very cautious now of Tesla and a further move down. Our stop is still 100% at 274.50. If that drops out, man, we are gone on that trade and hopefully be able to withstand it and not lose too much. So NVIDIA does give us those out, so that's good. And then Uber was the other play that I'm looking at. I'm trying to be pretty specific. Oh, wow, Uber now back. Wow, good. So we wrote down Uber $80 today. Why am I not on that name? Actually, it's not on the sticky note. That's why. So there's Uber right there to 80. Nailed it. Absolutely nailed it. But again, we could talk about stock. It doesn't even matter what we talk about. It does. I mean, hopefully it does for you guys and you have some confidence in some of the plays that we're talking. But for me, unless I have the trade, it's all nice. It's candy and nuts, right? But I mean, right here, should have had that trade. Uber down to $80. We talked about why we liked it. It was sort of that past level. And I even just said, if I'm going to like anything, it's going to be things at even dollars. So Uber at $80. I'm going to slap a fail on it for me. But we're still cooking, man. It's still fine. I'm glad that it's doing what it's doing. But we did miss that opportunity on that. So, yeah, that's okay. And you're welcome, Carlos. There it is. See, that's why we do it, man. Just try to mention some calls, see if it makes some sense to you. And there it is. So thank you, Carlos. Make sure you do like and subscribe. Get into this chat ASAP and become a subscriber. Oh, yeah.
Blow up. Yes, sir. Yeah, well, you probably will see in here some things related to the changes around here, the Studio X, or 8 as we're going to call it. Ramin's literally walking past the road that used to be Traders, everybody. We're blowing it up. Not literally, but figuratively, to make a bit of a better atmosphere. Someone said this morning, where was Adara? She's sitting behind us, and she's over at the news desk. But we're going to be able to have more conversation, like Joey options over there, chilling out. We'll be more of a round table kind of feel. So a lot's going to be changing. We're calling it Studio 8, and it is going to be happening. And no bull. It should be good. A couple of things. I said no bull because Weebul's actually running right now.
Right.
And I just heard that in my ear. I haven't looked at the stock. I'll call it up in a second, see what's happening. But Palantir bounced off the 111. But you know what? These are shallow shallower, more shallow moves each time it bounces off to 111. Each time I take it on trend, like last time it was screaming to the upside, but this time it's not. So it's held 111 and trying to break above the $0.50. The best fill we've gotten is the $0.50 and then some at the 30 level. So not nearly as strong as it used to be. It's actually Uber that's carrying through to that breakout price at 84. So VWAP's not looking as likely over here for Uber. Maybe it's just going to be along off the 84 and the aforementioned Webull. It is squeezing a bit, but guess what happened just now? Jinx. Did I just jinx it? Because it went, I mean, it was strong a second ago. It just went right into the high from Monday and did a bit of a pullback. So that 17 level from Monday where it rejected, it just failed it the second time here. I didn't pay for locate, so I'm not shorting this thing anyways, but that 17 level from Monday looks like it's still resistance on Webull. Yeah, that one got the bull by the horns, apparently. On that, that's a bad plan. But Apple's not at 200, so I'm not going to get into that. I want to see us hold. It's only 2 points on the trend for Palantir, but I want to see it hold this before I take another reload that isn't the volume-weighted average price, because the initial plan was to pull back into VWAP after that big gap up, and it still hasn't done that. So it's either really tight stops on this trend line or nothing else on Palantir, which is up 2% after yesterday's earnings quadunk. And a huge gap if it can take out these highs. I think if the market takes VWAP, I don't see why Palantir doesn't get to 115. Like, when Palantir moves, it usually moves that way. I'm surprised it's kind of checking up here when the market's still going.
Yeah, for sure. We actually wind up, I mean, we love Palantir. We're never really too surprised about that, but good point there as the market is trying to check up a little bit right here. So we did drop out of our Tesla there, and then we went short. So we dropped it there at 274.75. Sorry. What am I talking about? Right there is where we wound up dropping out of Tesla, 275.50. Then it winds up breaking. So there's our out. And we actually have, it's hard to see because our out is also our, like we have two trades there. So we actually got out and then went short, but we went short on the way back up. It just happened in the same minute. So there's actually two fills there. So we did take the long. We talked about that. Then we got out. Now we're short Tesla, which again, it broke the bottom. We sort of had our spidey sense up. We talked about that again on that trade. So now that it's starting to head to the downside, let's again reverse it. And this is what the life of a day trader is doing, right? I mean, this is why trading is. Anil said about how, you know, we had traders back there a couple years ago. That was a great time. Things have changed, right? So right now we have to be very, very specific and very, very careful. Prop trading is very exciting, but definitely a risk management type of thing needs to be had here. Then you have to have the ability to make calls and to be able to flip things up a little bit, I think, anyways. So we'll wait to see what happens now with Tesla. NVIDIA is still holding up. NVIDIA is still 70 cents in the money, but we'll give it all back on, not the whole day, but we'll give it back there on Tesla. Turn it red, and we're back to zeros. If this can get back into 274 again, which we're coming close right there. Remember, our hit end of day was about 50 or 60 cents, but we did take a little bit more there, so that does wind up down. And again, no problems. We talk about this all the time. You can always ask us green or red or anything like that. Red right now on Tesla with this position pending. So, all right. That's what we're doing right now, letting this thing drop down. I am bidding some more here at O's, and then I'm bidding at 80s, and then that's the bottom. So if we can get some out at O's, which is coming in right now. Did I just get that, Phil? Yes, I did. All right, and then now we'll wait for a break and then back into 80 for the low there on Tesla. And then unfortunately for all you Tesla bulls out there, I was with you, man. I was with you, man. We were pounding the table there for Elon, and then we got switched up a little bit. So now my stop is just going to be the 50-period moving average, which is 276 right now. So let's just calm down a little bit. We've only got out of 10% or so. So we're looking for a little bit of a downside push here on Tesla. Hopefully that can come up as well. Yeah, Erie Pages, I have no idea what we're doing with everything in the back. I think we're trying to look for a wholesaler or something to get rid of the stuff. We have desks, chairs,
That's a great question.
computers, monitors, monitor stands, and all of that. So we'll let you know if there's going to be some sort of a giveaway or something like that. I don't think we would charge anybody for anything, but we would definitely look to do some sort of a giveaway.
Saves having to dispose it. I mean,
that would be fun. Well, I think that the equipment's good enough that we'll be able to find someone.
Yeah, I think you will find somebody
that wants to buy it that can help pay for Joey options over there.
You used to be able to give it to schools, but nowadays, that was back in the day when you used to really be able to do that. But
yeah,
that's how we furnished our first office, actually. It was when the head office got some new stuff, and then we got a bunch of, which was great for us. We got a bunch of chairs for pretty much next to nothing. Look, we finally broke trend, not on Palantir, because that would be bad, because Palantir is in an uptrend, but AMD in front of 98. Here, there's yesterday's low, sorry, aftermarket low, there's yesterday's low, so right now playing off of yesterday's low. It broke the trend line with 3 points, so I'm into it, to the low of the day. Palantir obviously much stronger than AMD, but we wanted to take shots at AMD in front of 98. So every mean revert, I give to this, give to the bottom. Just wanted to be able to show, you got to show the winners and the losers every time here. Palantir breaks trend, that's going to be another long, I think, at VWAP. But here on AMD, after that trend break, it has to now get to yesterday's low. So AMD continues to head lower and look incredibly weak. PLTR and Uber, like, they're staying on trend to the upside. So ever since we broke out 110 on Palantir, it's just been holding this trend line. So dips on the trend, play into the high of the day. The next stop, I mean, logically would mean like the open price at 113 where it faded at the open. That makes a lot of sense here for Palantir. So I think we have a good chance to get there. Let's go to Adara. Oh, Apple's turning. Let's go to Adara, small cap recap, but maybe I get my Apple short finally.
As anything in Apple, I'll let you guys know. It's also worth noting GPUS just started running again. Here's IWM, rounded top, that's for sure. We have this nice push up post-market with the entire market as we did get the news of tariff talks between the Trump administration and China. We get this rounded top as of right now, still up on the day, but certainly removed from those highs of last night. Asset entities currently halted, but this one on watch here, it's run in the past, 12.5 million share float, announcing a merger with Strive Asset Management to become the first publicly traded asset management Bitcoin treasury company. So interesting distinction here for ASST. I'm still not seeing anything on Apple here, just checking the feed. Here is NTCL. This is Net Class Technology. No news, 3 million share float. It's a Chinese ADR. This is not a small cap, but I did want to provide a story here on CrowdStrike. We were talking about this one dropping pre-market. Interestingly enough, I'm seeing this headline come out at 9:36 a.m. So it looks like apparently they announced it internally yesterday, which might be the reason for the drop. But regardless, CrowdStrike releasing around 9:36 a.m. this press release about their strategic plan, which involves cutting 5% of its workforce, incurring up to $53 million in restructuring charges, but they're still going to be hiring in key growth areas. So interesting strategic plan reveal from CRWD. Also worth noting, Scott Bessent talking right now here. He is doing his annual testimony for the Congressional Committee. I will let you guys know if anything of note is said there. Right now, it's just opening remarks from everyone. Back to you.
Thank you, Adara.
Yeah, because they don't report for another month.
CrowdStrike, yeah, Pan W.
I just double checked. Palo Alto, I'm not sure.
Probably first.
Yeah, probably first. No. I don't think they reported yet.
We'll have to look. We'll have to look at our weekly calendar again. I don't think Pan W was on there.
No, I feel like that's one that I would remember.
Come on,
as
Tesla.
well. I mean, come on, everything.
Yeah, I mean, nothing's really moving.
So
honestly.
check out the NASDAQ right now.
I was thinking about going long the NASDAQ.
Like, look at it's all green candles, and the ES. Look, the ES is the same thing. I'm just showing you guys the NASDAQ. You're at the volume-weighted average price. It's not a huge move. It's very much still inside, but it's overnight lows turning into resistance here on the market. So if we're gonna roll over, like that's why I was sort of saying maybe this is the shot at Apple. No, Apple isn't at 200 to 201. That was the short level yesterday. Like, you were waiting for it to get to $200 and fail 200. So didn't take it when it was up here because it didn't get to 201, but every other time at 200, it was basically the gift that kept on giving. So I don't know if we get a shot at that unless it bounces off VWAP and the market starts going. But if we lose the volume weighted average price, I think I finally get into this Apple short. Palantir staying on trend, Uber still incredibly strong. Maybe shouldn't have sold it at the volume weighted average price, but that's usually the plan. It's consolidating above 84, which is usually like a bull flag like this breaks, you get all the way down to VWAP. If it holds, fill in the gap to the all-time high. Well, the real high is like 86 something here, 86 and a half. So those wicks doesn't really matter. In the open market, we haven't gotten to 86, 86 half. So I think that's where you can get to. But something's got to give. Either you break this channel down and we wait for VWAP, or you break that channel up and you join the long into the 86 level. So Palantir holding for it. Apple, no short yet. Even though the market's curling, we'll be very patient, allow it to make its move either into 200 or underneath this 198.80.
Yeah, look, I don't know exactly what's happening here in this market today, but you know, we do have some decent plays that we put on so far, and now we have Tesla into the short. Great, I didn't even realize you had that great look there on Uber long off that $80 level. That was a key one. You got to wait for those levels to come in, man. When they do, they're pretty nice. Like, I did want to look at Starbucks again as well. Okay, so down to $82. Not much going on. We've been getting out of some NVIDIA. We do have our plan of Tesla. If it breaks 276, we'll lose on the way up and we'll lose on the way down, apparently, there for that. But when a stock doesn't act, and I'm just looking at Starbucks because it looks like it wants to break that low right there. So, you know, if it does break it, watch out for, I think you can probably get long on 82. The people will panic, sell this right back into that low from yesterday. And then that's where you sit around and think about at least buying some Starbucks down here in and around $82. So if we do break below that 82.30, we do come in into 82, and then that would be a dip buy opportunity. I think you could get some pressure relieved off of this stock once that level is finally broken. People will punch out, and then it'll come back into 82. And then even if it comes in here like on a move, absolutely tanking or something, then you can watch out for this 81.90, 81.80 or so level. Okay, last shot here. I guess we'll be red on Tesla after all, but we're short right now at 274.95 right there, trying to give this $1 up to 276. And if it breaks 276 on Tesla, then yeah, man, like we got out there. There's some takes. We should be long there, but back up to the 200 period moving average. Obviously, the futures are starting to bust, so it's good for NVIDIA, bad right now for our Tesla trade. But we're going to give this up to 276 and see if some magic can happen up there. Maybe a reversal like we've already seen right there. Maybe we get a move like that. But yeah, right now out of the money right here, 50 cents on Tesla. Let's wait to see where it goes. But yeah, I do not trade Spotify. We can look at a bunch of different names.
Always can look at a bunch of different names. And a place that you can also do that in trade is over with Trade the Pool. And traders funded by Trade the Pool have been cashing out big recently. We're talking about 5,300, 15,200, 36K, even $29,940 on one trade. Here's how it works. You pay a one-time evaluation fee starting at $47. That's your total risk. At that point, you trade real shares, not CFDs, and you can use up to $200,000 in company capital, where you keep 70% of the profits. No margin calls, no account blowups, so you can scan that QR code you see in front of you, get 10% off, and start your trading journey over at Trade the Pool. Link should also be in the description as well. So shout out to Trade the Pool. And a big shout out to Dylan Waltman for the super chat. Thank you for the super chat. No message, just sending some love. I saw someone say kangaroo market, and then ASST halted again. Someone said the count is now at 10. I used to have a halt scanner that gave me the number of halts. This one that I use now doesn't. But yeah, sure, it looks like it could be that many. I have no idea. It's halted on 115. Oh, that's why, because it's so cheap. Yeah, it's not having to move very much for these halts. Why is it halting? I guess that's 10%. Yeah, those are 10% candles. Yeah, it makes sense. So halted, the tap is 245. I mean, it's actually not even moving that much at the top. It's a bull flag for this halt. That's a very tricky trade. It's kind of frustrating. It should be a wider band for a $2 stock than that, but whatever. We don't make those decisions. Upward trend looks really good. Really tricky to trade that bull flag when it's going into a halt every 2 seconds. It's kind of stupid, actually. So at AMD, bottoming tail wick at that $98 level, it actually, when he broke that trend and I got out before, it then holds the trend line the other way, which is usually a bit of a good sign. So when it broke back above, I took the prior bar break as well and then was able to get something on a dip. The average price is actually 42. And we'll see if we can give it to at least this prior bar close at 98. But I think this can get us to the volume weighted average price. I'm going to look for a place to be able to add as well on AMD. There's news here because there was a 13F filing by Amazon invested in advanced micro
AMD's down to $98?
Yeah, it got to that 98. So Amazon with a 13D investing in AMD. And usually it's like, yeah, you think Amazon invests in AMD? That would get AMD to go to the upside. Amazon doesn't have a red candle. Okay, it's got one red candle since VWAP. Are we counting that one at 10 o'clock? I'm not, because that's a bullish candle. Like, that's the only red candle is a bullish candle. on Amazon, 3% to the upside. Amazon's just a winner.
Yeah, we should have. Tesla's at that 276 level that we had written down before. Looks like it wants to break higher, and then we'll get stopped out. That sucks because we lost on the way up and on the way down of Amazon, but we stay into Tesla, but we do stay into our NVIDIA, which is trying to break a little bit higher. These are the numbers from here at Real Trading from yesterday. So and these are the markets they traded. So we don't get any European markets or anything. That's crazy that Tesla's going now. NASDAQ 14. Amex 12, Canada. So shout out to someone trading the TSX right there yesterday. Amex. So again, probably some ETF trading there happening, probably algo based. NASDAQ again in New York. Amex one more time again. So these are the top traders here at Real Trading and the markets that they had traded. And I'm not going to be on that list so far today, as we have another out right there on Tesla, as again, like stopped out right there on the break of that low. Then it goes down another $1 or so, and then it rips right back up through VWAP again. The move that we were waiting for this whole time does not happen when we're long, but now that the market's breaking, of course, it does have that top side move. So there it goes, man. Looks like Tesla wants to cook a little bit more right now. I mean, getting into some of these levels, that's 277 right now. So there could be a short as it's running into a little bit of resistance, but we've kind of broken through it already. So to be back and forth with Tesla, okay, you're at that level right now. Let's put on something right now and see if we can get it. Trying to get a 58, we just miss it. Oh, well, here, I'm not even on the screen. Here, let's put it back on right there. As you can see, there we go. I did punch a little bit short there at 50s. So now we'll wait to see what's going on as we are at a little bit of a level. Breaking through 277, we can get out of this one, no problem on TSLA. But that's kind of what we're looking for right there. The 200 periods at 277.50, which would be the day's high. So right now, just battling some demons here with TSLA back and forth and around again. So, again, not using too many shares. We sort of did sense that there was something up with it, but still up on the day with the market up. So here goes Tesla, now above 276. Let's see if 277 wants to hold. But, hey, there's been trades here for the Bulls and the Bears. I've just been riding each of them at the wrong time. So we made money early, but just lost it right there on Tesla. So
it's a weird market, man. Someone just said in the chat, why is Pound3 going down? Well, I know it broke trend, and I didn't move my stop. So there's the trend line I was working off of, and I had my stop under here. But obviously, I don't have automated stops on the trend line that I'm working with, so I have to move it manually. That's on me, because that's an extra 25 to 27 cents worth of slippage on that, which stinks. But let's see if we can get back to VWAP and hold. And I still maintain, this can break VWAP, and I still like it down to 109.5 or so for another salvo. So either it bounces VWAP or we wait for it to get under VWAP to that prior day high. AMD is making a reversion. We already talked about that one. Let's go to Adara. Time for a crypto update. Bitcoin, by the way, is doing just fine.
Oh, yeah, 97.5.
Doing just fine.
We also got crude oil inventories. Those came in negative 2.032 million versus negative 1.859 million expected. Here's Bitcoin. Bitcoin is looking great here. Bit of a bull flag from this low, this double bottom around high 74,000s that we made in early April. We get this push to the upside. Now we get a second push to the upside here that we kind of started with some consolidation in late April. We look like we're trying to take out this 98,000 level, which has certainly been recent resistance. Of course, then after 98,000, 100K would be the next goal. This is somehow these other crypto names are doing. Ethereum up basically the same amount as Bitcoin, back above 1,800. XRP, BNB, Solana, all up marginally as well. Dogecoin and Cardano both up almost 4%. So some of these altcoins basically doing around the same as Bitcoin and Ethereum. That's a trend we've seen basically all week, where they'll all perform in tandem. If Bitcoin or Ethereum's doing well, we'll see Doge or Cardano performing similarly. If they're doing badly, they'll match that as well. Back to you.
Robinhood, I don't know. Tesla's Nvidia's at the highs.
Robinhood, no way it did the same pattern as yesterday. So Robinhood did do the same pattern as yesterday. Not the same price, but the same pattern as yesterday, where it initial dip at the open and then breaks that dip and then does the reversion. So it breaks the low that it set at the open, kind of traps people short, and then just starts flying high. Robinhood's it's a beast. Like I was trying to come up with something even better than a beast. It's literally just trapping shorts every single day and then flying. Wait till it breaks out this top. Then you'll see what's up above the 50. The other thing, I talked about this, and Brian Shannon got me on this one, and I'm sticking with it from now on. You like swings better in a general sense if it has a upward sloping 200-period moving average. I'm sooner to take profit on anything that's a swing if it's downward sloping, but if it's upward sloping, I like it a little bit better. And Robinhood, if it breaks that consolidation, it's got an upward sloping 200-period moving average. And a lot of people say it's the next thing to go into the S&P. We had that yesterday. We were asking people, what do you think is going to go in next? I think, and it's unscientific because we didn't do a poll, but it was at least 80 to 90% of the answers we got were Robinhood. So why not? Everyone was right about Palantir. Why not about Robinhood?
Yeah, exactly.
Although Coinbase makes a lot. I kind of posited that Coinbase.
Yeah, what was it? DoorDash was one of the last ones there. There's a couple different things. I do like Palantir off VWAP. Someone in the chat just mentioned it there again. I was trying to see what this market wanted to do because you're approaching 20K again on the NASDAQ. So that's an interesting level to think about. There's 20K right there. So we do have that top action of 20 and then the move down right now off of there. So we're not quite there yet. So let's just wait to see what winds up happening now with the NASDAQ and 20,000. And that's going to, I think, affect Palantir, right? I mean, if the NASDAQ does drop down a little bit, this name obviously crushed yesterday. But, to be at 110, we're not too far away from anything that we're comfortable with here on Palantir, okay? We're back short Tesla against 277. We did talk about that. There is a little bit of size right now trying to push NVIDIA down just a little bit, but I'm not too concerned too much about size as it's been 30. Okay, here it goes. Well, I'll get a little bit more out here. I'll punch out some now at 55 and then see what winds up happening with NVIDIA. If the market pulls back, that'd be good for us because we are short, obviously, here on Tesla. But there's NVIDIA. Let's take some more out. It comes right up to the 200 period. I mean, this is where we're long. So we've got a good trade. This is the only trade that we've had on, and we did do a good job holding it all the way back up. We now have about 20% left on this name. So waiting to see if we get there. We just got some more outs at 60. As this market looks like it wants to just buy dips, right? And so we have to be a little bit more aggressive getting out of our Tesla because we've kind of been bad on it so far there today. So we'll get some out at 50s if it does come back down. We're short 50 cents now on this play, but it doesn't look like it wants to break too much lower. So if it does, good on us. If it doesn't, we've been cashing some out right now, just licking the wounds on some of this Tesla short. That really hasn't been good yet. So we'll see if we do get a fall back in. 276 is VWAP. That's the level that, again, we wrote down 276 long. So the fact that it's at 277, I mean, it's pick and choose because we already gone down to 274. So that 276 I had to get out of, and we did right there, 275.50. Then we went short, which wound up losing. So now we'll wait to see where that wants to go. NVIDIA still at highs. And then Disney, man, Disney was a missed opportunity once again because it comes right into VWAP, right into a level that we liked. We talked about that, and we were waiting at $100.15. So we don't quite get the Disney long that we were looking for. But Adara's got something else for us.
This part of the show is brought to you by eSignal. Traders, listen up. First month free. That's right, we're waiving fees. Trade smarter, not harder. Upgrade to Elite, analyze, strategize, capitalize. Our platform, it's everything. Infinite data, instant trading, lightning fast market insights, game-changing charts, predict with back testing, reliable real-time data, global markets at your fingertips. All in one platform. Do not miss out. Execute your best trades now. Ready to elevate your trading? Scan the QR code or check the link in the description. Back to you.
Anything anyway.
Shout out to eSignal. I can tell you right now, what do you think of the highest on the trade rate? And it's nobody's going to guess wrong. It's Palantir, it's NVIDIA, it's Apple, Qs, Tesla, MSTR. Okay, so there's one name on there.
I saw HIMS.
Where's HIMS?
It was up there for mine. It's third right now.
What?
On my trade rate.
Oh. It's not on, you know what, the settings aren't always exactly the same.
HIMS.
Yeah, I see.
$52 for HIMS right now.
That's absolutely fine. Yeah, I'm a little disappointed. I don't know why. I'm going to check the settings on that because yesterday there was a point at which it wasn't the same time of day where I was like, HIMS is going crazy. Why is it that low on my trade rate?
Yeah.
So I'm kind of curious about that. But the mean reversion ran into a bit of a hiccup there for AMD. Instead of VWAP, the pre-market low. So that was a prior support level, and then it ran into the hiccup there. Yeah, like the futures stalled out at the pre-market low as well, so I jump out of the trade. If it's a downward trend, I want to jump out when the getting is good. I think that's one thing when you're fighting the trend on a stock. Like AMD, I can like it all I want at the 98 level, but what they've told us is we don't care that you had a good quarter. We've failed the high, and you're actually trending down from the open. So you take the pot shot, and when the buying starts to run out, the getting is good. I mean, Palantir showed us that yesterday, that you wanted to make sure you scalped your longs, and when it started to slow down, get on out. Let's go back in. It just held VWAP.
Tesla again.
Like it just held the volume-weighted average price after this bottoming tail wick. I'm like, okay, that looks like a good entry for Palantir, but I don't want to be holding long all the way back into the prior resistance, like this 109.5. That's a full $1 away. I'm not going to give it that much room. If it closes under VWAP or breaks that low, I'm jumping out. Got to try to follow the rules. We talked about this one giving you hopefully just one shot. And I'm still not in an Apple short, believe it or not, but I'll get to that in a second. But if we lose that stop, then the VWAP trade on Palantir is going to be an abject fail. And Apple it's threatening to break the volume-weighted average price. I'm getting pretty close to trying to just put this one on in front of this level, which is the pre-market low, just like what AMD did. But I still want the VWAP break here on AAPL. I haven't shorted it once. This is the one thing we shorted over and over again yesterday. Weird. Sometimes it's like that.
Guys, for all my Tesla traders, this thing's not going down, honestly. I keep on, like, I'm taking like 30 cents. I'm getting out at 70s every time, and my 60 is not breaking. Like, it's not, right there, I just got another 70 as it was going down, and someone bought this thing right back up. So I canceled my 60s now. If this thing's someone's gonna have to let this bid go. I don't know what's happening right here, but there's a severe buy. I mean, the market's also bouncing, but it's not dropping through 70, and every time it does, it just gets bought up. So definitely alert, alert, alert for Tesla shorts right now. Just letting you guys know. I'm going to give this to basically 277.50, but there's a buyer right now, and until they leave, I don't think anything's going to happen right now with Tesla. So I just took some more outs at 70. I was trying to hold a lot more of this. I'm still in 60% of it, but it hasn't been a good trade for Tesla for me today. And right now it's holding that bid, and I'm short. So not a good look right now for that name. But just being honest, I mean, I was going short. I thought the short could come in there, and it just over and over again. And this is why we sit there and try to read that tape. You know, like if you're just going to sit here and watch for levels, fine. But it's also just keeps getting bought up. Let's watch it again. It just happened again. It came to 270 and got bought right back up again. There it is. So that's trying to break lower, right? Okay, this is the first time it's actually not gotten directly bought right back up. I just put a bid at 50 and then it spiked like as soon as
algo for
as soon as I hit my bid. But okay, so here it comes back in. We're still going to bid down here right now. It looks like it may not. All right, well, we did get a 65 fill. Now I'm waiting for 55s. Hopefully, there it comes. All right. Here we go. Now we go to the downside. They're finally a little bit of a break, so we need the futures to go with it. And so far, so good. But there's the resistance again. Oh, man, the resistance is strong with this one. All right, it's 1040 right now. I just took some more bids at 50.
It's the Rebel Alliance.
Yeah, it might be the Rebel Alliance. Yeah, exactly. Or not. 276.25, my next bid right now. Let's hope we can get down there and turn this frown upside down. Adara.
We're going to talk here about the sector map, but I do want to mention currently U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent is getting grilled pretty hard during this annual congressional hearing with regards to the status of trade negotiations, specifically trade negotiations with China. He actually declined to comment on which countries that he said the U.S. could be able to reach trade deals with this week. He says that commenting would be detrimental to U.S. interests, and then also said that some trade negotiations are quite advanced, but again, would not specify which countries were involved to what degree, and he would not really comment on the state of the China negotiations, which we know people are really excited about. He's still refusing to answer this question. If I have any more updates, I'll let you know. Let's get on to Sector Watch. Finance incredibly strong here. Berkshire up 1.5%, almost 1.5% here. JP Morgan green. MasterCard green, Morgan Stanley green. Retail trade here being held up mostly by AMZN. Great push to the upside. They announced their Vulcan robot to be used in their warehouses. Electronic technology and technology services both kind of flat here. We have tons of weakness in CrowdStrike after announcing a workforce reduction. Then you've also got some weakness in ADET over in electronic technology on earnings day one. Consumer services has some strength, of course. DIS helping it out here, up 10% in earnings day one. The rest of these sectors kind of mixed today, but finance and retail trade definitely seem to be the strongest here alongside consumer services. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Adair. And right back into that level, here comes Palantir. Couldn't hold on to the volume-weighted average price. Like, ironically, that mean reversion, not that I was looking short on Palantir. I thought all the world, if we get above that seller from yesterday, that you're just going to continue to show strength for the rest of the session. And the market actually still holding up and holding VWAP, it looks like we're going to get a test of that 109 half area. There is one stock that I might get back over to for a potential trend break. It's going to show you SMCI. We had short off the pre-market levels. Remember, they reported.
Reported, yeah.
I'm like, report. No, they've already reported. They gave us the early look, and then their guidance was poor even after we knew everything was going to be bad. So it's got a very nice trend line to the upside. Look, break either way, don't care. You break this kind of a flag, we'll break down, we'll look short, break over, we'll look long. But I'm going to have SMCI up in addition to Palantir. Tremendous volume on Palantir, 39, crossing 40 million any second now. But this is the first real test back at that 109 half area. So this is where we want to try to get some in. It has to do some kind of a trend reversal. Show me a green candle at least off this 109 half level. Or we could finally get into Apple short. I'm still looking at the same names. Apple can't break VWAP. Apple can't give me a short in front of 200. But at some point, rubber hits the road. And if you're not going up and you have this kind of a gap to the downside, I think you're going to just go back into what has been a downward trend in Apple. The last few days, you've just been trading 200
There we go.
to 197. So when VWAP gets lost, I think you head back to 197 on Apple. If VWAP gets lost. Shouldn't speak that certain.
Awesome.
I mean, as soon as that 276.70 faded out, we did get a little bit of a downside push. So while you guys were speaking with Neil and Adair over there, we did get a 276.25 fill, and then we just got another fill at VWAP at 276.10. So, now we'll wait. I'm at 275.80, and then a little bit lower than that at 275 flat. So I'm just waiting. I always go for a little bit lower on a break lower because we just got our 275 fill. So if we lose VWAP, then we'll see about coming back into here, 275.80. That's the 50-period moving average. So if we can go to the top of the morning to you all the way back down, we like that trade. That is for sure. GPUS, a name that there's a lot of people mentioning here. $7.58. GPUS, again, up 70% today and just absolutely ripping. Shout out to Tisha and everybody else there in the chat who's been mentioning this name nice upside move. And again, holding VWAP. Look how good this VWAP trade has been since we've opened up today, right? I mean, again, a well-traded name, lots of volume coming through with GPUS, and it looks like it does bounce really kindly off of $5 as well. If you look down, that's a weird screen we've got going on right now, boys and girls. But right down, now even weirder, but I like that one. That's the best one yet. Let's just keep it at that. Hey, Joe, how's it going? Joe, you doing okay over there, my guy? But maybe I shouldn't have brought this up because the best situation was the first one right now. So we'll wait on that. But
over there.
Yeah, GPUS, we are getting a little psychedelic, but there it is. You know what? No matter what's there, this club still exists. All right. All right, our things are not working. That's okay. But there is $1 right now on Tesla as that falls through 275. So 276, sorry. It does make that move in. And look, we were at 80s. It went to 90s there. So now that we fail off a little bit there, let's put a bid at 18s just because I just pushed bid enter for about 2 or 3%. There it is. So now we'll see if that falls in, which it just did. Now we'll get it going. And now, nope. We'll get Stream Deck up in just a minute. But NVIDIA trying to move. I only have 2 trades today. It's NVIDIA, which is a banger, and Tesla, which we still wait for. Here it comes, 275.80 is our next bid. What's up, Adara?
Here, we're going to do money talks, and we're going to do some news here. Scott Bessent, who, as I just mentioned, was continuously pressed to talk about any kind of details on any trade negotiations, specifically with China. Finally, after a long interrogation, he basically said here that the China negotiations are going to start on Saturday. Peter Navarro is not going to be there. So that's just a quick update with regards to trade coming from Scott Bessent, who is the U.S. Treasury Secretary, during his congressional testimony. This is his annual testimony. Let's talk here about the U.S. dollar. Still some higher lows being made here on the DXY, but we're poised to break this uptrend really at any moment. Still in a larger downtrend here on the daily, and we're still below 100 right now, around 99.4s for the DXY. Now, here is the CME Fed Watch tool. I actually zoomed ahead to July because July is the next time we're pricing in any kind of rate cut. Right now for July, 55% of participants are expecting a 25 basis point cut. We actually have 17% expecting a 50 basis point cut coming through in July. But if you go to June, 71% expecting a hold. So completely erasing that initial gain we had with people expecting a cut in June. And then May, of course, 97, almost 98% of participants are not expecting a cut. Also, if you enjoy statistical analysis and Fed Chair Jerome Powell, get ready for a series of infographics coming out later today, looking at the statistical analysis between Fed Chair Jerome Powell's tie colors and the FOMC meetings. There actually, weirdly, is some correlation, so that'll be coming out very soon. Back to you.
Right now, if there's a correlation between his actions and his ties, that ain't lasting very long because someone's gonna see that and be like, there can't be. No, and look, we're not expecting much of anything from them, so you know the drill. We'll come on a little bit earlier, but we're gonna get no change, and then we're gonna play that rubber band action, and then we're gonna look to see what happens when he takes the podium. He's gonna have to talk about the economy and the labor market and tariffs, and those are gonna be the questions that he gets. So still no trend break on SMCI, PLTR. No, I get in that habit. Palantir just held again in front of that. It's not 109.50 yet. 109.75 underneath the volume weighted average price. This was where the seller wall was yesterday. So I want to bounce into here, take some out in front of VWAP, and then let it try to go. But the market is, I think, losing the bid. So SMCI is trend breaking like imminently, and I want to punch the short there. And Apple is also losing trend underneath the volume weighted average price. Apple needs to break 198.80, which will happen any second now. So SMCI trend break hasn't happened yet.
Maybe.
And what? Oh, maybe.
No, yeah, no. Andre was just telling me, man, we got to do our favorite segment of all time, and that is what's for lunch. E-signal. Come on, my guy, man. No one cares about that stuff. Right now, it is all about what is for lunch right now. So $275 and change for Tesla, but what's for lunch today? And if you said chicken, today you got it right. That is what it is today. It's Chipotle glazed chicken, so not bad. We'll see how that goes. I don't know if it's gonna be barbecued or not, but Chipotle glazed chicken with spiced potato wedges. Here we go, Neil. Charred Brussels sprouts with red peppers, and then, of course, a fine chef salad. So what was the yesterday we had a nice beef dish here.
Yeah,
Kerala beef curry.
Yeah, it was, well, I actually didn't get a chance to try any of it. We got that mystery turkey stuff.
Oh, we got the mystery turkey, okay.
I call it like spam or whatever.
Didn't miss much. Yeah, the wife and I went out for a nice lunch
you wouldn't
yesterday.
like that.
We found this little bistro, which was really nice in the heart of Mississauga. I had a turkey wrap, so shout out to my good friend Joseph over there.
We didn't eat that well yesterday with the salad.
Yeah.
But no, I don't like.
There goes Tesla to the downside.
This is the kind of market it is. Just quickly for a second, Apple broke VWAP. What was weird is right when you were like, I forget what you said, but Apple broke at the minute you said it, and we broke that VWAP right down into 198.25. But at the same moment that we broke down,
What?
Palantir broke up at the same moment. So we got the dip, it's going into VWAP, we break VWAP, next out in front of 111. Exactly. So the short works and the long works simultaneously. It's just been a weird market like that. Let's go back to Adara.
All right, but first, before we go to Adara, we are going to go for the #1 best place to find odds on no matter what you're doing. There's unbelievable and unbeatable odds on the biggest games right now. Switch over to ProfitX's peer-to-peer platform where you set the price. No more one-size-fits-all lines. It's like crafting your own picking strategy with real-time trading tools. Secure the best odds, track the action, and watch your plays. Come alive. Experience total control at every step. ProfitX, sports playing reimagined. Traders, please use code TraderTV to sign up and get 2% cash back. But as we do that, baby, there goes the market right now. And there's a big winner. That's a $2 win right now on Tesla. So we wait, we're patient, we get it back. There goes Tesla. Nice move to the downside. Let's go. There's something breaking.
Google is down 2% and flushing right now.
Yeah, the whole market is tanking.
Something happening specific to Alphabet here. Let's go to Adara.
Go then.
This is the story here I was trying to talk about. We do have GOOGL on watch. I am not seeing any news site attributing this story, but basically, reportedly, Apple considering adding AI search to its browser. That's what's happening here for GOOGL to the downside. Again, not seeing any source for this story. You're not seeing what news reporter initially broke it, but Apple reportedly considering adding AI search to its browser. GOOGL sharply to the downside here, continuing to be at days lows. GOOGL, back to you.
All right, so there it is, Google. But we take advantage of that, of course, and run them things to the downside right now for Tesla. So we just take a 274.50. That's a nice little bid there, being able to get out of that. So there it goes, man. The short finally printing off the 200 period. Just stay patient, stay positive. Thanks, Adara, for that news on Google. And I mean, you always, I know you're stuck right here with Powell. You were just in a short. What was
I just punched out of Apple there because it broke VWAP. That's what we wanted to have happen on Apple. But then that's kind of a positive news story for Apple and a negative one for Alphabet. So it held the bid here at 198.26. So I jumped out of it. Alphabet, I know that's bad, and everyone's all concerned about it, but I want to start thinking about where it could catch a bid. And my first thought is 155. I don't know if we can get down there, but 155 was just that recent high. You're losing the 50 period. Everyone has been concerned about Alphabet and the challenge to search, and Apple getting it right would be bad for them. Okay, so Palantir also double tapped underneath the volume weighted average price. So we're able to get this last trade will be a winning trade, but looks like it's going to take out that low again. Apple could have been a good hold short, but I literally heard them say that's what the news was and punched out of it. So I punched first and thought later on Apple. I heard Apple adding. I was able to take it out for profit. But of course, Apple decides it wants to continue going lower. Like literally when I hear the word Apple, I punched out.
I mean, the market is tanking, yeah. We didn't do well. I mean, you're still in the, you just punched out a Palantir as well. So, yeah, okay. The only short that I have on board right now, of course, I was looking at Google. I've already said that Google is not the play that we all thought it was. I mean, the search is going to be a problem, but let's be honest with you, who in the hell uses Safari anyways? So Apple to the downside right now, they can add whatever they want to the Safari, to their web search. I don't think it's really going to matter that much, but there's the move down, 197 and change coming back in. We'll wait to see if Apple can hold some of those levels. But for right now, it's $2 in the money now on Tesla. And we're going to wait to see where that bottom is for that name. We've only had 2 trades today, Tesla and NVIDIA, but we've covered a lot of names for you guys, including this TOVX, was it? Was that what it was? Yeah, TOVX, so Thrive Therapeutics, seems to want to be bouncing off of 80 cents. So we talked about this one breaking $1, and that was 20% of a winner. We talked about Uber grabbing that long at 80, and oh boy, what a V-shaped recovery Uber's had today. Boom, boom, right there to the upside for Uber. Let's go, man. We're now $3 in the money as all traders are now uniting together as we watch out and see what's going on with Tesla and the market. The market, look, I mean, I know that's a bad story for Google, but come on, there's something else happening. The NASDAQ right now gets to 20,000, gets within 20 handles of 20,000, and then just falls completely off a cliff on basically no news. Like this news of Google, I mean, is out.
It should
that's
drag
fine,
everything down.
But this just dragged the market real nice, like all the way down to the downside. So again, look at NVIDIA getting pushed down, right? Like if this is a Google story, this is not an NVIDIA one. Maybe we pick up some strength there on NVIDIA, but your boy's going to stay short for a minute with this Tesla. I think we break a lot lower. I mean, if we get any kind of negative news trade-wise, look, the U.S., I don't want to say people are lying, but where's this talk with China? Hopefully it comes soon. If it doesn't, look out below. Next bid right now, let's go to 273.50 or so on Tesla. Right now, there it is, man. It's the banger of the day for me. It's this short right there on TSLA. So boom goes the dynamite there. This name not giving any love right now yet. Back into day's low. There it is. There's the break lower, man. Okay. It is a big one. It is now 1, 2, 3 right now as we go downside there for Tesla, right back into the day's low. Day's high to day's low in just a couple minutes, man. We are all getting downside. What's up, Unique Trading Group and everybody there in the chat? What's up, Skull and everybody? Thank you so much. We really appreciate you watching. Neil, all they can do is hit the like and subscribe.
That you can
if you do that, then that's all good.
And you can hit the share. But we also have more breaking news with Adara. Let's keep it coming.
Here's some more details on the Apple Google story. It actually came from Eddie Q, who is the Senior Vice President of Services at Apple. So he's actually an Apple executive. That is the individual who's saying that Apple is considering this AI search engine, which does make it a little bit more of a compelling story as opposed to just a report. He said that, I guess part of this had to do with the fact that Safari search has declined for the first time in April, which he actually apparently lost sleep over, I guess, this potential hit to their revenue sharing deals. I'm just mentioning this because that preempted this reported, or not even reported, confirmed here by Eddie Q, their consideration of adding AI search to Safari. They're considering Perplexity and Anthropic as the options for this AI search. Notably, ChatGPT was not mentioned, nor was OpenAI, by Eddie Q. Again, that is the Senior Vice President of Services at Apple. A little bit more color for this Google Apple story. Back to you.
Yeah, and it's directly terrible for Uber. Sorry, Uber on the brand. I was just about to talk about Uber, so that's why I just said it. You guys know I don't mean Uber. Directly bad for Google. Very quickly, if you look at that move to the market to the downside, Uber is holding up really, really well right now.
Love that.
There's absolutely no dip in Uber with the market, and it's holding above that 84. So. It's not at that 86, which is the prior high, like the 52-week high. So certainly there's a little bit of room to go, and I don't know if we're going to get that vaunted VWAP dip. If this market pullback can't give it to you, I don't know what can. Speaking of the volume-weighted average price, the trend break happened on SMCI, and then the next bar low happened to be a break of VWAP. It just happened to be that. So I'm going to give it to this bar, which is like 31.5 on the reversion short. Palantir is still holding underneath VWAP, so I don't know if it's got the strength in it yet. And yeah, I'll let that one haunt me on Apple. It was probably a bad decision to have gotten out. At the time, you hear the headline. It's bouncing off of the overnight lows, which is now a double bottom here on Apple at 197.50. If I was revenge trading, I'd be long off this level, but I'm reminded I only wanted short on Apple today. So if it's going down and I only wanted short and I'm not in it, I'm not going to punch the lows. We'll just wait for a pop and try to get that short back on. So SMCI and a trend break, Apple to the lows, Google flooding to the downside. Pretty much everything except for Uber is pulling back right now.
Yeah, I mean, Tesla right now is $3, but we are now, okay, let's go, man. Wow, Tesla's absolutely falling out, man. This is going to be, now we're $350 now in the money. And the only thing I'm going to be doing is reloading NVIDIA. We've been getting some more out on this move down because it's not really going. If we do get more, it'll be at 112 where the players dwell. Thank you so much, man. I'm so glad to be leaving you guys here with these big trades on board. Hopefully you guys have had a great morning. Thank you so much for watching. Good trading today, Neil. I mean, we always wish we had, bigger, but it's still fun. Yeah, today was Uber's a monster there.
That stock is like
Tesla's been a little difficult, but we're
bulletproof. That stock right now.
Yeah, I'm loving Uber, man. We talked about that for a minute. So, all right, thanks everybody. We'll see you guys at 2:00 for Fed.
Maybe a little bit. I think
we'll probably be 150, 145.
I think we'll come back.
Yeah. But for now, wow, Tesla is absolutely tanking. Get those shorts all fired up. All right, Sharif, go get them. Let's go, guys. Sharif and Joe, see ya. Wow.
Boom! Greetings and salutations, beautiful people. That's your boy Joey Options, and I'm Sharif.